Family, hey, welcome back, man. We're actually just tuned in right now to this Tupac trial. If you're just tapping in, you feel what I mean. This is some crazy stuff. Right now, what's being said is just giving us a synopsis of what happened the night of the fight. Um, I just hate this. You know what I mean? It's just so unfortunate. So many people, you know what I mean, who we admire, like Biggie and Pac, bro. Like they just ain't here. And I'd rather be listening to that music than some of this trash, bro. It's pissing me off. Hold on. Let's get back to it.
And at one point, that chain is pulled off Trayvon Lane's neck. Now, what happened to that chain is an issue of much dispute. Not everybody agrees with it. But the act of disrespect of pulling the death row chain and the brawl that occurs further escalates this heated rivalry.
Diddy definitely forced that man to go because he didn't even want to go that night. He really didn't. And the thing about it was he was warned not to go that night by a lot of people, including Gene. I've been watching a lot of videos about Gene, like back in the day, and it's just like he's just now getting to be known now. But everything that he says always align with everything, and he has never been sued a day in his life.
And what you'll learn is that these two men, Trayvon Lane and Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, they encounter each other again. This time in Las Vegas. So that brings us back up to September 7th, 1996, here in Las Vegas. Again, Mike Tyson is fighting Bruce Sullivan. He disposes of him in less than a round, in a round. Doesn't take a full round. And then after the fight, Tupac Shakur, Suge Knight, and the people that are here with, they leave. And
Tupac was a handsome dude, wasn't he? He was a and then he had the perfect bald head. You feel me? Damn, man, Pac wasn't supposed to die, man. Cause let me tell you something, that nigga music was stellar.
And among his group is Trayvon Lane. And that is why this fight occurs. Trayvon Lane and the Death Row group sees Orlando Anderson standing by himself, and they decide to attack him in retribution for what happened at the Lakewood Mall. You'll see Orlando Anderson's on the bottom of that group. You see security coming, trying to break this up. And then you'll see Tupac Shakur, Suge Knight, Trayvon Lane, and that group exit the MGM Grand. Now, Orlando Anderson was by himself because when Dwayne Davis purchased the tickets for the Bruce Sullivan fight, he got them through a scalper. So everybody that came with Dwayne Davis were seated separately throughout the fight. And so Orlando Anderson was, at that time, by himself. You'll see that Mr. Shakur, Mr. Knight, and his group leave the MGM Grand. And you'll see that Orlando Anderson, after being held by security, is questioned for a bit, asked if he wants to press charges. He decides he doesn't want to participate in any type of prosecution, and that he doesn't need medical attention. Dwayne Davis hears about this beating. And what you will hear is that in his world, there is no question that a response is required.
It's so crazy because if you would have took this situation and dropped it off right now in 2026, the nigga would have got so caught with the way niggas film and shit now. like it would have been so many different it would have been so many different videos of Pop walking through the MGM Grand and shit. Like everybody would have been so caught. Like it's so crazy, bro.
And you will hear from Dwayne Davis what happens next. Because what happened over the next 2.5 hours is something Dwayne Davis would later describe himself in the secret 2008 interview from his attorney's office with the federal task force. And we'll talk about that interview and the circumstances surrounding that later. But we'll hear about what the next 2.5 hours was. So, what we learn is that Dwayne Davis is upset about the beating of his nephew. And frankly, that's not an unusual response. What's unusual is the next steps Dwayne Davis takes. Unusual for the normal person, maybe not unusual for in-gang culture. Dwayne Davis decides he is going to organize a retaliation, that this beating cannot go unanswered. Then he runs into a person named Zip Martin. Remember the Zip Martin that was a connection with Bad Boy Entertainment from New York? And Zip Martin tells him that he has a gun and that he can come help him out.
Hey, where do you go to? What do you tell Zip right then? You tell Zip, hey, we're going to go handle this shit or whatever?
Yeah, like, y'all lost the time. Like, you know what I'm going to do? They was they going to get 662 club.
Who's that?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah, everybody.
Well, how do you know that Zip's got a gun? Does he tell
It
you?
was in the lobby, in the lobby. I got one.
Did you ask him? Do you have one, or just told you, yeah, I got one?
Yeah, I really asked you need help. I said, can you? Like, yeah, okay, cool.
I don't know what he is.
Yeah.
So later, Dwayne Davis organizes 2 vehicles to go over to the 662 Club. Before that, he gets the gun from Zip Martin. He goes out to his Mercedes-Benz, gets the gun from Zip Martin, and then after some time, he assembles 2 cars to go to 662 to violently confront Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight for the...
I hate this part too because out of all the times in the world, I wish Pac would have just been a simp and just stayed in a hotel with his girl. You dig what I mean? Because this was the time when he was dating Kadada, right? He was dating Quincy Jones' girl. And it was just like, you feel what I mean? I just wish that he would have stayed. Because according to an interview that she had, she wanted him to stay that night. And it got to the point to where like he was almost about to stay and then changed his mind at the last minute. And it pisses me off so fucking bad, bro.
Beating of his nephew. And you'll hear that Dwayne Davis wasn't initially in the white Cadillac. He goes into a van, and Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, they go in a white Cadillac, and they go to Club 662, waiting for Tupac Shakur, waiting for Suge Knight, waiting for this violent confrontation. And what you'll learn is that Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight don't show up while they're there.
We went out to the 626, they didn't show up. We waited about 15, 20 minutes, they didn't show up. So, they're like, let's go get some liquor. We stopped at the liquor store. I got out the van, and then I jumped in the Cadillac.
So what you hear Dwayne Davis say is he got out of the van and goes into the Cadillac. And the plan at that point is to go to a liquor store, get some booze, and then go back to the Las Vegas Strip and party. What the original intention was before Orlando Anderson was beaten at the MGM Grand. But on the way back to the Las Vegas Strip, they see a caravan of cars.
Yep, they see.
And that caravan included Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight. And in that white Cadillac, before the shooting occurs, Dwayne Davis explains that the driver is Terrence T. Brown. In the rear driver's side is DeAndre Dre, or Big Dre Smith. In the rear passenger side is Orlando Baby Lane Anderson. And Dwayne Davis himself, KBD, is in the front passenger side. And this is how Dwayne Davis explains the murder of Tupac Shakur.
Yeah. These little liquor stores right there that we came up Harlem at the Long Lake Boulevard. Shit. Here they come that BMW when they corner. I'm brawling.
How that's your girl?
I'm like, there you go. Hey, you turn what supposed to make it just one that you turn.
It pisses me off because how everything ties in, bro. The picture that we all know about when Pac was just looking barefaced in the camera was the picture of the girls who was screaming his name they took that picture. And that is also what alerted them to knowing that Pac was right there. Because they had just left 626. I just want you to see how, like, it was like death was just like almost missing them. Like, they had just left 626 from waiting on Pac. Pac and them had got there late because he was coming out the hotel, his girl not wanting him to leave. So, you know what I'm saying? She was almost kind of like stalling them. And that's what made them niggas leave 626 from the whole time. So now they going down the street. And the same picture that we love so much, the last picture that was ever shown to Tupac was the same picture that motherfucker alarmed these niggas to kill him. Yo, it just, I'll just be like, what the fuck, bro?
It was in a little lane. We just pulled up on the side, checked every car to see where they was. So what direction?
If them girls never yelled his name, they would have never probably seen this nigga, man.
It was supposed to be this one that you done. It was in a little lane. We just pulled up on the side, checked every car to see where they was.
So what directed your attention to him? Was some girl shouting at Tupac?
Tupac, he gave himself away. Otherwise, they would have gone away. He already done what you want to do.
You did a U-turn, so then you pull alongside of it.
Damn, that's fucked up because the girls is probably watching this trial right now. Damn.
In the car, have you already had the gun at this point, or at what point you handed him the gun?
I thought he was going to go on my side. You know, that's one of them that going to the shop with him. You know, he pulled on his side.
So you were fitting to blast if you had to, or you were just...
Yeah, we would have been on my side, I was there.
Okay. So you hand the gun to the back seat?
Yeah.
You can hear Lane?
I gave Dre was like, no. And Lane's like, dude, fuck, dude.
So what you hear Dwayne Davis say, admit, that as they see Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight driving to Club 662, Dwayne Davis, along with Terrence Brown, DeAndre Smith, and Orlando Anderson, decide to make a U-turn, confront Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight. Dwayne Davis had the firearm. It's the firearm he got from Eric Von Zit Martin, and then he passes it to the back. Dwayne Davis says that if they were on his side, if Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight were on his side of the vehicle, he would have shot them himself. But because they were on the other side, he handed it to DeAndre Smith. DeAndre Smith, according to Dwayne Davis, did not want to shoot at that time, so Orlando Anderson shot into that car. Dwayne Davis explains this over and over again.
Literally, on the street.
Okay, Lane starts blasting. You say Suge looks over, he sees you. He looks right at you. Are you nervous?
I just know he does something to say, you know.
When he looks over at you, and then, Tupac's busy getting shot, evidently the story is Tupac's trying to either get out
In the
of
back seat or something.
Yeah, what do you see happening inside
You
that
know,
car?
I see the bullet going, Suge, yeah, I thought he was dead. You see, he must have sprayed him or something in the head or something.
A piece of glass went into his neck right here.
And he had a thing in the head.
A little gray.
I thought he did.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, did you guys stop the two girls? They both stopped the car and let them get off?
Yeah. And we made the right.
Okay, but he stopped what you said, why you cool? Let off.
Yeah. And we made the right and some broad sea breeze and phones. Stupid bitches. And we shot their window out and they stopped.
So Tupac's trying to jump in the back seat. And what's your nothing?
He couldn't really go because he was too big. Yeah.
One other thing Dwayne Davis talks about during the murder of Tupac Shakur is that there's a car full of women. I think he calls them broads at one point. A car full of women who are there as well. And you're going to hear from one of those women. And what she's going to tell you is that she disagrees slightly with Mr. Davis's rendition of facts. They were, in fact, communicating with Suge at Tupac's car, but they weren't talking to Tupac, they were talking to Suge. And what she says is she hears gunshots, she sees the white Cadillac flee, and then what Dwayne Davis interprets as them chasing her, she'll tell you is them just panicking and trying to get away. But she will say they inadvertently follow Dwayne Davis and the other people in the white car as they are fleeing. After Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur's vehicle is shot, Suge Knight makes a U-turn and heads back to the Las Vegas Strip. The car ultimately can go no further and stops. Police arrive, medical arrive, and you will hear that Suge Knight was grazed in the head and had some glass going in his neck. He ultimately survives those injuries and is released fairly quickly.
Hello?
You'll also hear that Tupac Shakur was shot multiple times, that he was brought to UMC, and that 6 days later, he succumbed to those injuries. And within 24 hours, the Cadillac and the assailants are back in Compton. They stay the night, and they drive right home as though nothing happened. But a war followed them back to Compton. Because while people were afraid to come forward to police, the police knew and the streets knew that Southside Compton Crips were responsible for this murder. And the war that follows in Compton is a bloody one. You'll hear that Mob Piru and Southside Crip members start shooting at each other. Within 10 days, 3 people are killed. A number of people are shot, including an 11-year-old girl. And what you'll also learn is that none of those cases were prosecuted. Why? Because in this context, in the gang context of this, the combination of gangs and guns is scary. And in this world, silence means survival. Now, the one person who has a hard time being silent is Dwayne Davis. You're going to hear from 1998 to 2023, Dwayne Davis has given a number of statements regarding this case. So, as early as 1998, Davis spoke to the FBI. He admitted he was in Las Vegas during Tupac's murder, but he denies being responsible. Then in 1999, Davis speaks to the FBI again. And these aren't interviews that are focused on the Tupac Shakur murder. These are interviews regarding drug transactions and drug trafficking. But he does say that Tupac does come up, and Dwayne Davis admits to being in Las Vegas for Tupac Shakur's murder. Says he wasn't involved, but he was mad about the fact that Orlando Anderson was beaten, and that his plan was to handle it in Compton had Tupac survived. Then in 2008, the interview of clips we've heard today, in a secret interview with the federal task force, Davis admits to his role in the murder of Tupac Shakur. And we do need to talk a little bit about this 2008 federal task force. Because what this task force is investigating is not the murder of Tupac Shakur. What this task force is investigating is another rapper's murder. A rapper by the name of Christopher Wallace. Somebody who is known as Biggie Smalls, so the notorious B.I.G. Christopher Wallace got murdered 6 months after Tupac Shakur was killed. And there was some allegation that the LAPD might have been involved. So a federal task force was formed to determine what happened to Christopher Wallace. And the interesting thing about the murder of Christopher Wallace is that Christopher Wallace is killed leaving a party in LA. Also at that party, Dwayne Davis. Christopher Wallace there was a suspect vehicle that involved a Chevy SS Impala, and Dwayne Davis happened to own a Chevy SS Impala. Now, as a result of that, the task force decides, well, let's look at Dwayne Davis. And the thing we know about Dwayne Davis is that he trafficked narcotics. And so they were able, through a CI and an undercover, to have a drug transaction with Dwayne Davis. And as a result, Dwayne Davis now has a case, a big trafficking case. And so the federal task force approaches Dwayne Davis and his attorney, and they say, hey, look, we want information regarding the murder of Christopher Wallace. That is what we are trying to investigate. And what Dwayne Davis says is, I don't have any information about that thing, but I can tell you about what we did. I can tell you about Tupac. And that's what he does. He tells a federal task force that that's about his involvement, what you've heard, his orchestration of the murder of Tupac Shakur. That secret conversation, that proffer, was secretly recorded and released later. In 2009, Davis is being so helpful to federal authorities that he actually flies out to New York to try and get Zip Martin to implicate himself in the Tupac Shakur murder. Zip Martin at that time was dying of cancer, was out of the game, and really did not engage with Dwayne Davis. In 2009, though, Dwayne Davis gives an interview to Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Detective Dan Long. Now, Dwayne Davis is more guarded in that interview. It is a different setting than the interview in 2008. It's not a secret proffer agreement. But Dwayne Davis does admit a number of things. That he was in Las Vegas, that he was mad about Orlando Anderson making, that he was the boss, that he was in the white Cadillac, that he procured the firearm that ultimately killed Tupac Shakur. Then, in 2011, the landscape changes. Because in 2011, Greg Kading, the guy who was leading the task force in 2008, the guy who organized the secret proffer between Dwayne Davis and the federal task force, he leaves law enforcement and decides he's going to publish a book about his investigation into Biggie Smalls, the guy who was killed 6 months after Tupac, and Tupac Shakur. And what he puts in the book is that Dwayne Davis confessed to the murder of Tupac Shakur. The book tells the story about his admission, about himself, but it also tells the story of Dwayne Davis telling about his nephew's involvement in the murder, about Big Dre's involvement in the murder, about Terrence Brown's involvement in the murder. And this is a problem for Dwayne Davis, because that meeting was supposed to be secret. And now his cooperation with federal authorities is open to the world. Not only that, Greg Kading is now profiting off Dwayne Davis's life story. So, in 2017, Dwayne Davis decides to go public. He's approached by the producers of a show called Death Row Chronicles that appears on BET. And this is just a small portion of what he says is his motivation for appearing.
But when in TV days, I was copping, kingpin, drug dealer. I'm the only one alive that really continued the story about the Tupac Shakur. People have been pursuing me for 20 years. Newspapers, magazines. I'm coming out now to tell the story because I got cancer. I got nothing else to lose. All I care about now is the truth.
Dwayne Davis says, all I want to do now is tell the truth. And in the 2017 public interview, he's a little evasive, but he admits to being the boss, he admits to being in the white Cadillac, and he admits to be part of the murder of Tupac Shakur. And when he says he's the only person that can tell what happened, he's right. Because by 2017, Terrence Brown is deceased. DeAndre Smith is deceased. Orlando Baby Lane Anderson is deceased. Terrence Brown was murdered in an unrelated incident. Orlando Anderson was murdered in an unrelated incident. And DeAndre Smith died from health issues. Remarkably, in 2019, Dwayne Davis then decides he's going to publish his own book. And with regards to the book, it is certainly a lot of self-aggrandizement. But again, the core remains. He was mad about Orlando Anderson about the beating of Orlando Anderson, his nephew. He was in Las Vegas. He got the gun. He was in the white Cadillac, and he handed the gun to the shooters. And what you'll notice is a constant thing that always goes through these statements is Dwayne Davis's visceral anger at Tupac Shakur for putting hands on his nephew. In the book, he says, them jumping on my nephew gave us the ultimate green light to do something to their ass. Then, Dwayne Davis decides that he's going to do public interviews regarding his role in the murder of Tupac Shakur.
So you ended up getting in the car with Baby Lane and them?
I got his car with on, yeah. We ran into him, went to the light on the sunset and Amigo. And dude, we acted like he was in a parade or something. That nigga in that BMW hanging out with him. Hey, this Tupac, it's Tupac. And them bitches, shit, they was hollering for him. Yeah, they were that motherfucker. They came up on the side of him. Shit.
Davis's public admissions mirror his private life. He admits to being a leader of Southside Crips. He admits to the significance of the fight over the death row chain at the Lakewood Mall. He admits to being in Las Vegas the night of the fight. He admits to being angry that Tupac stomped Orlando Anderson at the MGM. He admits that he was hunting down Tupac and Suge, first going to 662. He admits that he got a Glock 40 from Eric Zip Martin for the purposes of hunting Tupac. He admits that he was in a white Cadillac with his gang members looking for Tupac. He admits to seeing Tupac in a black BMW and then changing directions, making that U-turn to confront Tupac and Suge. He admits to putting the gun he obtained that night in the backseat of the vehicles so the shooters could shoot. And again, what remains, even as late as 2020, 2021, 22, is Dwayne Davis's visceral anger at Tupac Shakur.
The nigga sound like he swallowed his tongue. A sub from Jersey, Mike. I was hungry as fuck. Then the motherfucker thought that I wasn't finna go get my food, son. Like, the nigga came through the gate and didn't take that damn long. I had to go and drive around the whole the complex to get my food, bro. Like, don't fuck with my food right now, nigga. This shit's so sloppy and good.
Come on, man. Tupac was wrong with two motherfucking shit. I mean, don't you think he was wrong? Honestly.
I mean, yeah, I think he could, reacted in a better way.
Listen, you don't think that man is wrong?
He could have reacted in a better way, I guess.
I'm talking. Glad is his fucking biggest fan. He admitted that man is wrong, man.
I mean, he doesn't have any wrong, man, but that was only done out of motion, man.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Nigga, shut
He never jumped, my nephew didn't jump on him. He jumped on my nephew with a kid, man. My nephew was a fucking kid. He was a grown-ass man, dude. You know what I'm saying? He was a fucking kid, dude. That's why he had on the channel. He's a fucking kid, dude. You know what I'm saying? They was wrong. My nephew never jumped on him. They jumped on my nephew. My nephew didn't throw a punch, man. Shit was wrong, dude. Jumped on the fucking kid, dude.
And this anger is not just demonstrated publicly, but you will hear as recently as 2024, privately, in a conversation with his son, he talks about his feelings about Tupac Shakur, nearly 30 years after the murder.
What that dude was all way out in the for him, dude. So he is doctor and put him on me to go back. You know that? Little kid, always fuck the same. That dude,
years later, that is the visceral anger that Dwayne Davis had for Tupac Shakur. It did it in 2.5 hours. He took care of what he thought was the proper response. And 28 years later, he still is angry about what Tupac did.
No, but for real, dog, you would have thought that was 28 years ago, the way he was talking on some real shit, bro. Tupac dead and gone, and you still that mad?
On September 7th, 1996, Tupac Shakur publicly, on camera, participated in a humiliating beating of Dwayne Davis's nephew, Orlando Anderson. And Dwayne Davis knew that in his world, that required a response. And over the years, in private interviews, and public statements, and even in private calls, Dwayne Davis has repeatedly told us over and over again about the anger he felt and his own role in the revenge drive-by shooting of Tupac Shakur. And now, nearly 30 years later, we're going to ask you to finally hold Dwayne Davis accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Mr. Stamps, do you wish to give your opening statement at this time?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to set for the second minute.
Of course, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Yeah. I think this is the immaculate.
You got it, or do you want IT to assist you?
I think I got it. This
Okay.
is it, right?
His own damn mouth buried him. If he hadn't been talking so much shit and running his mouth, he probably wouldn't even be in this motherfucking predicament right now. I swear to God, I feel like men talk more than women when it come down to certain shit. Bro, it's cold as hell.
Whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. We spent a lot of time, I think, when we were picking a jury to determine who would be the right jurors for a case like this. Obviously, we want people who are going to reserve judgment until the end, but really look at the evidence with a critical eye. Now, what the state has just told you what they believe to be the evidence in this case. But really, at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself if what they're saying is really truth or fiction, fact or fiction. I don't know if some of you recall, but I had asked a question specifically about what you were holding in your hands. And right now, for instance, you're all holding notepads and pens. That would be a fact, right? And in this case, for instance, I had asked before about the idea of, I can just do this, right? Microphone. I'd ask some of you if that microphone was buried and dug up 30 years from now, would it still be a microphone? The answer is yes. And the reason why that's important is because in this case, what they are telling you, they're representing to be a fact when it really is fiction. And it's up to you to determine what the facts are in this case. Now I'm going to give you a timeline here for you to understand just a little bit of how this is going to work, because there's so much evidence in this case that we have to sort of compartmentalize some things. And what I've done is really just sort of focused on the 3 detectives that work this file from beginning to now. First detective you will hear about is Detective Becker. He works the file, he's the original detective on the scene. Detective Long takes over the case for about 15 years or so, and then it ends with Detective Mogg, who presents this to the grand jury in 2023. But why this timeline is relevant is because you have to see the span of time for yourself. 30 years. And ask yourself this, what facts do they have after 30 years? Now, Detective Becker does what every homicide detective does when he arrives on scene. He's assigned to the case. He starts his investigation. At that particular time, though, Tupac Shakur was not dead. He was critically injured. He was at UMC. And it isn't until 6 days later that he passes away. But Detective Becker starts his initial investigation because it's pretty serious, and as a result, he just takes over the investigation. What he will testify to is that Flamingo Cole on a Saturday night, in the middle of a fight between Mike Tyson and Bruce Seldon, it was very busy when he arrived. And he arrived at a time where he was able to determine cartridge casings, 40 caliber, that was found at the scene. That's another fact for you. But at some point they're going to learn, he learns that potentially it was a Glock 40 that was the actual firearm that was used in this case. And then when crime scene analysts arrive on scene, they document the evidence. And they document the cars. That will be important, and you'll determine at some point why the cars are documented. And with regard to Detective Becker, what he'll tell you is police officers write reports. Critical. Hugely important. Why? Because at some point in the future, like in this case 30 years later, Detective Becker will not remember details like he would if he had what? His report in front of him. And that's going to be important for you to consider in this case. Now, what Detective Becker does, though, is because of the outcry, the attention, the media focus on this case, he took his file and he secured it in his office under lock and key. Because he was worried about leaks in Metro, leaking information out to the public, because so many people wanted to know answers to the question as to what happened and who did this to Tupac Shakur. Now, what you're going to find is, when Detective Becker testifies in this case, that a lot of his reports are now missing. They're gone. Which is Metro's responsibility to hold and to pass on to the next detective, and then finally to the next detective. Now, Detective Becker also did not trust Compton PD. Why is that important in this case? Because there's an individual by the name of Reggie Wright Sr. He was a lieutenant working in Compton in charge of the gangs in Compton in terms of investigations. His son is Reggie Wright Jr. He was the head of security for Death Row Records, the same security that was here in Las Vegas on the 9th of September 7th, 1996. Death Row Records was affiliated with Mob Pyru Blood, and Detectives Ladd and Brennan from Compton answered directly to Reggie Wright Sr. Becker did not trust Compton PD. And the one thing...
First of all, I don't like this nigga. You know what I'm saying? All up there looking like goddamn Johnny Depp daddy. Listen, the man been running his mouth for 20 years and said he did this. Good enough for me. Lock his ass up.
The thing that he really didn't trust is that most of their information came from confidential informants that were not reliable. And he'll tell you that. And because of his intuition, Compton PD was shut down in September of 2000 due to internal corruption. They just evaporated that police department, and the sheriff's department for LA County absorbed the responsibilities for the police department in Compton because of the corruption that was there. Now what facts, right? Just like the pads of paper that you have in your hand and the pens that you have in your hand, what facts can we determine from Detective Becker's efforts? First and foremost, we know that Tupac was shot multiple times. That's a fact. That can be proven. We know that it was with a .40 caliber firearm. That's a fact, due to the cartridge casings. On the corner of Flamingo and Cobalt. That's also a fact. Right? We're on board so far? We know the date, September 7th.
Have anybody ever went to Vegas and went to the actual spot where Pac was killed? Have anybody went in here?
1996. That is a fact.
What about to the marathon? Have anybody went when Nipsey was killed?
Fact. At 11:17 p.m., we know that to be a fact as well. And then finally, that he was in a vehicle during the rush of the night, and that Tupac died 6 days later. Those are facts that will not be refuted by anybody in this courtroom during the time that we spend together. But here's the one thing. There are no facts to point to Keefe. Not one. And you're going to hear about this over and over and over again. No facts like the microphone in your hand or the pad of paper that you have that you write on. Detective Long takes over the case in 2002, and he has it from 2002 to 2017. He was, interestingly enough, on the gang unit, and at the time of the shooting, he was in gangs, and he had been one of the first to arrive on scene. He will testify and tell you that every time he did something on this file, he would go to report. Because that's important. That's what you do as a police officer. And he conducted follow-up interviews, and he made some travel to Compton. He will tell you those things. That's his role in all of this. But here's the thing. Detective Long also encountered some challenges in this case. They had to hide the case file with Metro.
I
Because
never get
people
over
were
the
still
way that man
accessing
kicked
the
Nip.
file in Metro. And they weren't authorized to do so.
Nipsey,
So they
bro.
changed the case number so that people couldn't find the file. In addition to that, what you're going to learn is LAPD reached out to him, called him up and said, hey, Detective Long, we have the gun. And we tested it, and it matches back to what you're looking for in terms of the weapon that killed Tupac Shakur. Detective Long goes to LAPD, gets the gun, transports it back, gets it tested,
Oh,
and
for
it
real,
comes
my
out
man
as
knows.
not a match. LAPD tells him after, we gave you a fake gun to test you out. This is the level of, I don't know how to put it, that was going on during this time period between Metro, LAPD, and Compton.
Bullshit.
This is what's happening during this time period. Leads, according to Detective Long, became very scarce and stale, meaning that it was just taking a long time for him to follow up with people. Witnesses became unavailable. Why do you think that is? Because of time. So as a result, memories started failing because of that time. So Detective Long had these challenges. But here's what Detective Long does. He interviews Keefe in 2009. Sits him down, has an interview with Keefe, just like the state said. And guess what happens? Detective Long doesn't even know that Keefe had actually spoken to a task force the year before. How is that possible? Metro is the agency responsible for the investigation of Tupac Shakur's murder, and they don't even know about this. No one in that room in 2008 told Detective Long or Metro what was going on. And you know who was in the room in 2008? You had FBI in the room. You had the EA in the room. You had LAPD in the room. You had the United States Attorney for the Central District of California in that room. And Detective Long does not know about any of that. What you will also learn is out of all those people in that room, not one person verifies what KPD tells them. That the FBI, the gold standard of investigation in our country, did not go out and follow up on what was said. Now, one of the things the state showed you was a picture of a car and indicated there was 4 individuals in that car. And he tell you that at some point, 3 of those individuals are dead and Keepe's the only one that's remaining. But at the time that he gives his statement to the task force in 2008, there's another individual that's still alive. They never interviewed that individual to verify if that information was true. Why not? Because the FBI just fell asleep, that the LAPD just didn't care. Keefe was never charged for any of what he said during that time period. And it's because they knew he was full of crap. Otherwise they would have. Why wouldn't they? When Detective Long comes back to Las Vegas, he goes and he talks it over with the Clark County District Attorney's Office. And you know what happened then? They didn't charge the case either. In 2009.
But that don't got nothing to do with other detectives not doing their job. The last detectives brought charges to that nigga. Now, I don't know what the fuck was wrong with the other 2, but shit, ain't nothing wrong with them now. Nigga, the fuck what it is. I mean, I don't understand it.
Ask yourself the reason why that is. It's because they just didn't care about Tupac Shakur or his life? Or is it because they looked into it and realized we can't verify this information, we don't believe this to be true? Why would the Clark County District Attorney's Office not charge him in 2009? Now, what facts do we get out of Detective Long based upon what he did for those 15 years? We don't have any facts. Outside of statements made allegedly by QPD and other people, we don't have anything to verify any of that information.
Is Marathon, is the store back up and running yet? Because they need to hook that on up. And you said it's been closed since the day he passed. I mean, what's going on with the remodeling?
Not one single thing to corroborate the statements made by that man in 2008.
Yo, he do look like
2009.
Jigsaw. I called him Johnny Depp
Not
Daddy, but
by
he do
Metro,
look like
but
Jigsaw.
by the FBI, by LAPD, by the DEA, by the United States Attorney's Office.
Oh, so.
No one corroborates any of this. So, 2017
I can't
comes
unsee it
along,
now.
And an entity called the Center of Investigative Reporting, they filed what's called a FOIA request with Metro. And what that means is, FOIA is the Freedom of Information Act. It allows or requires government agencies to give up information if you ask for it. That's the point, is to be transparent. And people wanted to know what was going on with the murder files. This is 2017. This is years after any of the statements that were made and anything else. Where's the investigation? What's going on? Well, Metro said, no, we're not going to give it to you. So in 2018, the Senate turns around and files a lawsuit against Metro to force them to give them the file, to show them what work had you been doing over, at that particular point, I don't know, what's that, 20 years? That's when Detective Mogg enters the picture. What you will learn is that Detective Mogg basically says, I'm here just to close out the case. He's not here to solve the mystery of who killed Tupac. So with everything you have in front of you that you're now hearing for the first time in terms of the statements that were made in 2008, 1998, 1990, whatever, Detective Mogg comes along and says, I'm just here to close out the case. That's his role. And what you're going to learn is Detective Mogg received a copy of what's called the Death Row Chronicles in 2018. It's not a deposition. It's not testimony under oath. It's edited, and it's done for extreme purposes. He receives a copy of it. You know what happens when he receives that copy of the interviews that the state has basically shown you in this case? No charges filed. Why? So, Keefe writes a book, allegedly. Right? Allegedly, he writes this book called Conflict Legend in 2019. You know what happened with the book? Right? Even he confesses to it. What you find is, no charges filed. What is going on? District Attorney's Office doesn't want to charge the case. No charges filed when the interview happens. No charges are filed when the book is written.
Yeah, that is trippy. I wonder why. That is a good question. I called it Johnny Depp too. Somebody said Edward Scissorhands. That is a good question though. Why do you think nobody else had charged him when he has been admitting to this? Like, I'm just trying to understand. Like, why you think it didn't happen?
What is going on? 5
Why
years
not?
goes by, and nothing is going on with the case. But Detective Mogg says he's closing it out. Detective Mogg turns around and applies for what's called a search warrant. Now, what a search warrant is that in July of 2023, around that time period, a search warrant requires a police officer to get permission from a judge to basically violate the sanctity and privacy of your home. Right? There's got to be legal reasons for it. He's got to go through that process, and he's got to ask permission from a judge in order for him to get that. And what he does in that search warrant application is he assures the judge, hey, what we are looking for is in the home. The thing that's going to help us solve this crime, who killed Tupac, is in the home. And he signs an affidavit, and that's important. I want you to remember this. He signs an affidavit attesting to what he's saying to this judge to be true and correct. What he says is, I think we have evidence in KPD's home that will solve the murder of Tupac. So up until this point, they've got all these statements, they can't be corroborated. So now they're saying, we have evidence in this home that we think probably is in the home. And as a result, we're going to find this evidence. It's going to help us solve this case. What I'm going to tell you right now is that you don't find it. And in the meantime, Detective Mogg retires. He now becomes Mr. Mogg. And Mr. Mogg goes to the grand jury. And in the grand jury, it's a secret proceeding. We're not there. The defense, isn't sitting like we are here. It's just the prosecutors. There's a panel of people called the grand jurors, and you have people come up and they testify under oath. And there's really no way for the defense to challenge any of it because it's done in secret. We don't really know about it. But in this particular case, Mr. Mogg is sworn to testify truthfully. And you know what Mr. Mogg does? He just reads pages of the book into the record. He doesn't do any more in terms of an investigation than read pages of a book into the record. He never documents in any of his efforts any verification of the book before he reads it into the record. He walks up, gets on the stand, and reads the book as if it's the gospel truth. And that's what he does.
I don't like how he stands, and I don't like your hair, even though it's great. Got nice tresses, but I don't like it. You feel with it? Your suit's too tight, and you got too much of a spark on the S's. You know what I mean? Listen, he shouldn't have said he did it. Lock him up.
Treats that book like it's fact. Now, what you're going to find out about Mr. Mogg is that he never wrote a report. So when he took over the case in 2017, all the way up until when he retired in 2023 and was in front of the grand jury, he never wrote a report.
KB, man, shut up.
Time.
Piss me off real
not
good.
Like Detective Becker, and not like Detective Long, and not like any other police officer who does their job. This man never writes a report. In fact, what happens is he transitions, right? He's a Metro detective, he retires, and then he gets a job working as an independent contractor for the district attorney's office as an investigator. And as an investigator, he doesn't have any police power. He continues to work as a lead detective on this case. Even though the procedure is you hand your file and your officer's report to the next detective in line. That's how this works. But he keeps the file for himself and he starts billing against the file after he retires as a detective in Metro. Because now he's an independent contractor. That's important to know. Why is that important? Because what the evidence is going to show you is that he backloaded his work. And when he finally writes a report, it's not an officer's report, it's an investigative report that spans from 2018 to current, and we just received it about 5 weeks ago. The importance of capturing everything you do, the accuracy that you would need to be able to be in court on a murder case, not some type of, college paper that you forgot to do and then the last second just put something together and, get it out the door. Mr. Mogg does not do any of that. That's going to be important later for you to consider. Because according to that report that he submitted 5 weeks ago or so, he never verified the book. According to that report, he never investigated any of the alternate theories that were out.
That's my point. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever your goddamn milk dud head ass client shouldn't have been on interviews, in phone calls, and in the book saying the same shit. He want to go to jail for him. Lock him up.
Hear about those alternate theories. There are people who have developed over time, and it's just the question, who did this and why? He never looked into any of it. Which I think, at the end of the day, don't you want to see what's out there to help you with your investigation?
I ain't never seen a nigga with two heads. How he got two heads? The nigga got a head in the front and a head in the back. He got a head in the back that's covering the head in the front. Look at it. You feel what I'm saying? The head in the back is protecting the one in the front. I ain't never seen no shit like that. And then the head in the front got his own ring. Look at the ring around the head in the front. I ain't never seen no shit like this in my life. That's how you know he did it. He got a two ring around the head ass nigga. He a ring around the head ass
And according to his work, his report, he did more on the case after he became an investigator than he did before when he was a detective. What I'm going to tell you right now is what you're going to find when you listen to all
Lock
the
him up,
evidence,
shit.
that his work was biased, sloppy, and incomplete. Those are the three things you're going to determine for Mr. Moe. Now, because of the fact that in terms of the evidence itself, he doesn't have much, the state's going to lean pretty heavily on their witnesses. I'm going to give you a sampling of the type of people you're going to run across in this trial based upon their witness list in this case. First person is this guy named Reggie Wright Jr. He's remember, the security company for Death Row Records. And what he is a felon. Second of all, you're also going to find that he's a former Compton police officer. He worked for Compton PD for about 5 years, and apparently he got disabled. At some point, he becomes a felon. You're going to learn about that. And his father, like I said before earlier, Reggie Wright Sr. was the head of the Compton PD gang unit. What you're also going to learn about Reggie is that, once again, he was supposed to be protecting Suge Knight. Where was he the night of the shooting? In addition to that, he orders his security team to not carry firearms the night of the shooting, before the shooting took place. What you're also going to learn is, he wasn't even around when the shooting occurred. So the principal, meaning the person he should have been protecting the most, would have been Suge Knight, the head of Death Row Records. This man was nowhere to be found. He was sitting at a club called 662 down the street, waiting for Suge to show up, while he left his people that were working for him unarmed in the vehicles behind Suge Knight. And when push comes to shove, he orders his people to lie to police during their investigation. That's going to be called by them. That guy's going to be called by them. In addition to that, when everything was said and done, Suge Knight went to prison because he was not supposed to be in a fight in Las Vegas. He violates his release. Guess who takes over Death Row Records? Reggie Wright Jr. Now, the state is also going to bring in other people with unreliable positions, including criminal histories, financial motivations, and inconsistent statements. That are the people and the quality of the evidence that you're going to listen to in this case. Just to give you another example, there's going to be an individual by the name of Devonta Dirt Walkley. Who is he? He's been a paid informant for years. You're going to hear that they have paid him to be an informant. He will, of course, say whatever he needs to say to avoid his own criminal actions, but his testimony will be inconsistent. And that's what you have to really rely on. Is what exactly is he going to say, and can you even believe it? In addition to that, you're also going to learn about a disgraced LAPD detective by the name of Greg Cady.
Yeah, I can't stand
The
him.
state told you about him. He wrote a book. He benefited off of what was happening with regards to keeping. Now, Greg Cady, he stole the file. What you're going to learn is he actually stole the file. He took the Tupac and the Biggie case files and walked out the door. This is an LAPD detective that they are using, or one of the people that they're going to be focusing on to establish their case. He writes the book, then he holds himself out as the person who solves the murder. That's Greg Cady. That's the LAPD detective. Now, what you're also going to learn is Greg Cady, when he was a detective with LAPD, was basically caught manipulating witnesses. And because he was caught manipulating witnesses, it led to cases being overturned as a result. There was a court finding on this issue. A judge determined that. And there we go. That's Greg Cady. That's the witness in this case from that. Now, your challenges, right? I mean, gosh, we're sitting here, there's cameras in the room. I mean, there's things going on. But it's really time. Like, how do you, as jurors, try to figure out time on this case? There's been so much time. Delays. By who, though? And there's corruption. How do you look at your information that you're receiving with anything more than just like skepticism? Like, you're going to look at this stuff and be like, well, I mean, you have a motive to lie. You have a motive to tell or deceive. And it's because at the end of the day, there's not actual facts. When you get past all the talk and me talking about
Blase once said too old to be lying about murder. He was already old when he first told the lie. I hate a Negro who want to be included so bad that they
talking. Just look at the actual facts. What facts do you have to support
Because nigga, what is
any
you
what
doing,
he
bro?
said on any of his
Oh my
interviews or in the book?
She got mad they got mad real quick.
When you look at this relevant timeline again, and you see the length of
This
time,
timeline pisses me off because it said it does
what
nothing.
facts do they have to even put KPD in a car in Las Vegas on September 7th, 1996? What facts? When you look at the video that happened at the MGM, look for them. Try to find them in there. Try to find any of the other individuals. Remember, he said there's 3 individuals in the car with him and Orlando Anderson. Orlando's in the video because he's getting beat up. Find any of the other individuals on the videos of the MGM. Look for evidence that shows that KPD was even in Las Vegas on the night of the fight. Receipts, credit cards, a picture of him standing next to somebody else, maybe watching the fight from another casino. Something. Give me something. In the book, you're going to learn that Keefe says that he was at the fight. He was sitting on the second row. He was sitting with all the celebrities, and he's dressed in his finest gear. There's not one iota of proof that he was ever at that fight. But you know who does show an iota of proof that he was at the fight? Suge Knight. Suge Knight was raided, and at some point, there is a ticket stub to that fight. The Tyson versus Sullivan fight with Suge Knight's possession. Because he went to the fight. And you would think, a fight like this, you want to show everyone that you were at the fight. There's no evidence at all that man was even at the fight. When we take fact versus fiction, really at the end of the day, what you're going to hear from witnesses that will testify to this is that KPD was known to do this. That's the testimony you're going to hear in this case. That's what you're going to hear about that man right there. And so you have to ask yourself the question. If I just say things, is that going to end up being one of those things where I'm going to be hemmed up for a murder if I just keep repeating that fiction? If I keep repeating that? The answer is no. You have to corroborate everything I say in order for it to be true. Otherwise, it's just that. Or fiction. And at the end of all the time we spend together, what you're going to find is that the state cannot prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt the claim that Keefe wasn't had anything to do with a first-degree murder with use of deadly weapon.
Look, he's the only one to have motive, Mr. Man. And I don't like this dude. You know what I'm saying? You got hair like your mother. And the point is, you feel what I mean? The only person who got into an altercation that night was this nigga's nephew, and he was involved.
There's no facts.
Pissing me off.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sandler. See, at this time, are you prepared to proceed with the case in chief, or did you need a brief break?
I just need a break to bring the evidence in, so maybe give the jury a few minutes.
Sure, we can do that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we are going to take a 15-minute break. During this recess, you are admonished not to talk or converse amongst yourselves or with anyone else on any subject connected to the trial, or read, watch, or listen to any report or commentary on the trial of any person connected with this case, citing you of information including...
Yo, so I want to know, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, if not him, who else do you feel as if would have had a motive to want to have Pac hurt that night? It makes absolutely no sense. Everything as far as the evidence, even if circumstantial or not, I feel like it points to Keefe D and definitely Orlando from that night. You cannot get me to believe nothing else. Y'all hold on one second. Hold on! Yell at y'all ass. Hold on! Hold on to your lover, woo. Hold on, guys. Man, for real though. right, y'all. Yeah. All right, y'all, let's get it. Family. Hey y'all, we just up in this Tupac trial. It's been 30 years and nobody has been held accountable for the death of Tupac Shakur. Now I'm gonna be honest with you. I think a lot of us knew or have known for years some of the people who was responsible surrounding his death, but this is the first time that somebody would be held solely accountable. Now listen, a lot of the people from back in the day is now gone. You dig? So and there's a lot of witnesses testimony, you know what I'm saying, that really is not, I can't say solidified because it's been 30 years. This dude right here, Keefe D, we know that is a big, big liar. But I do believe there's a lot of truth in what he's saying this night. I think there's a lot of things that add up. And when you add up the people that, you know what I'm saying, or whatever that's going to be mentioned in this trial, it makes a lot of sense to me. Now, you have to been following a lot of this stuff to understand some of the people that's going to be called in this. One of the names that stood out to me was Zip. You know what I mean? And I think that for a fact, Zip is the one that connects, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, Sean Puffy Combs to this whole Tupac Shakur thing. Now, I do feel like Suge and Diddy had something to do with Pac's and Notorious B.I.G. murders. That's just me. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of shit. You feel what I mean? And when you look at a lot of the evidence, they would have capitalized more off them dead if they were planning to leave the labels than on them being alive. And I'm just being honest. But look, we finna get into the second half of this trial. We're gonna do one more little segment, and then I'm gonna dip out and then come back for Tootie Uncensored in a little bit. All right. But let's get into it.
Because this whole caravan. Thank you. Hey, 30 years later, we'll figure out the facts. Don't worry. We'll get back. As long as they're fast.
What are really fast?
What are really fast?
Family, Jerry?
Nigga, I ain't even gonna lie. Nigga, I thought that was Snoop at first. I thought that was Snoop at first. That's Scoop right there. Yo, nigga, when I first looked up, I was like, what the fuck?
The party stipulates to the presence of the jury.
Yes, Sean.
You may be seated. All right, state, you may call your first witness.
Gary Dale.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you are about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
You may be seated.
Thank you.
May I please have you state and spell your first and last name for the record?
First name is Gary, Garry. Last name is Dale, Dale.
Thank you, sir. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Duckhorn, you may proceed.
That nigga name is Gurr.
Thank you. Sir, back in September of 1996, how were you employed?
I was working for the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department at that time.
And how long did you wind up working for Metro?
25 years total.
September 7th of 1996, what was your assignment?
I was assigned to a bike team on bicycles on the Strip, Las Vegas Strip area.
Is the uniform similar to the ones they have today where you're wearing the yellow shirts or were you wearing something different?
Yellow shirts and black pants.
Direct your attention to right around 11 p.m. What part of the strip were you working?
I was working the little bit further south end, south of Flamingo.
And did you have a partner?
Yes, I did.
What was his name?
Richard Goldgard.
While you were working on that area of the strip, did you cause there to be some sort of car stop of a vehicle?
Yes, sir, I did.
And what was the purpose of stopping this vehicle?
I initiated a car stop on a black BMW that had no license plates.
May I approach the judge?
You may.
First, I'm going to show you what's been marked in the state's proposed exhibits 1 and 2. Now, there's some obvious markings on here, but these appear to be two aerials of the Las Vegas Valley from, well, generally around the time period of the 2096 area.
Yes, sir.
Accurately reflect kind of the locations that they're describing on there.
That was another thing that I kind of felt like was weird. Y'all let me know. The BMW not having license plates, so it's easy to identify. A lot of people were saying that a lot of people were saying that Pac, Suge, Keefe D, it was like a triangle offense of this whole conspiracy to kill Pac and Notorious B.I.G. Do you think that's weird for somebody like Suge Knight to not have any motherfucking plates on his car?
Lingo, Harmon.
Yes.
Move to admit 1 and 2, Judge.
Any objection?
No objection.
So admitted. You may publish.
I'm going to start with exhibit number 1. And right next to you, don't click it, but there is a mouse that you can roll around with a pointer. Can you generally tell me where this car stop occurred?
It won't work because you're doing it off of your computer.
I have it plugged in. It works.
There it goes.
So it will work.
Just trying to wrap around the boulevard here.
So if I told you that red dot's Harmon and Flamingo, or sorry, Harmon and Las Vegas Boulevard.
Yes, sir. Our car stop was right around, I believe it was right around this area.
So just south of Flamingo on Las Vegas Boulevard.
Yes.
When you approached the vehicle, did you recognize the occupants?
No, I did not.
Why did you stop this vehicle?
It had no license plate on the back.
When you approached the vehicle, did the occupants communicate with you?
Yes.
And did you, at that point, did you learn their identity?
They told me who they were, but just as identifying them, not.
Did you know them?
No, I
When
didn't.
they told you their names?
They told us their names because we asked them their names, but I didn't know them. I had no knowledge of them before that. We ID'd them.
As you sit here today, do you recall who they were?
Yeah, Tupac Shakur and Marion Knight.
May I approach?
You may.
Showing you grand jury exhibit number 3. Is that how the two of them appeared to look that evening when you approached them?
Yes.
In particular, Mr. Shakur is wearing, or has on, a very large gold necklace.
Yes.
Did you talk to him about that necklace?
Yeah, we talked to him for a few minutes out there, and I was just remarked to him, "Wow, man, that's a huge piece of gold," or something like that he had around his neck.
Would you describe your interaction with him as congenial?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ask them about the license plate, why their vehicle had no license plate?
Yes, I did.
And what was the response?
They stated that they were filming a video, so they had taken the license plate off because they were filming a video going up and down the strip.
Move to admit 3, Judge.
Any objection?
I'm sorry. No objection, Your Honor.
Admit so admitted. You may publish.
And this large gold medallion is what we're talking about, correct?
Yes, sir.
How did that interaction with Mr. Knight and Mr. Shakur end?
We told them that they were going to have to put the plate back on their car, and we warned them and released them.
Did you remain down on the strip, in the strip area after they left that car stop?
Yes, sir.
We'll fast forward about, say, 10 minutes later, something unusual happened. What happened?
We were continuing riding on the strip area. We were heading southbound on the boulevard, and we heard some calls come out about a vehicle. Can't remember exactly what was said, but heading up towards Harmon, we saw the vehicle that had been described in the median of the road. It looked like it had ran up on the median and was stopped there in the middle of the boulevard.
What do you do when you see that?
We approached the vehicle.
Is it you and Mr. Goldberg, or Officer Goldberg?
Officer Goldberg and I.
And do you see either of the two people that you saw earlier in the vehicle?
Yes.
And who is that?
Marion Knight was outside of the vehicle, walking around, talking, and Tupac Shakur was being removed by EMS people.
As Marion Knight is talking, do you recall anything he's saying?
He was telling us to take care of Tupac Shakur. He had Marion Knight had a chunk of shrapnel or something in his head. He was bleeding, and when I wanted to talk to him, he was adamant that we needed to go and care for Mr. Shakur.
Did you then go to Mr. Shakur?
Yes, I did.
And then what do you do? What's your responsibility as it relates to Mr. Shakur as the EMT is working on?
I was trying to talk to him to find out what had happened. Excuse me. Gather information to see who had fired at them.
Did you wind up riding anywhere with Mr. Shakur?
Yes, I rode to the hospital and the ambulance with him.
During that time period, between the time you get to Mr. Shakur and the time period he gets taken into the hospital, are you able to have any sort of communication with Mr. Shakur?
He was still talking, and I was trying to convince him to tell me the name of whoever his assailants were.
And did he ever respond?
Yes, he responded, no, we'll take care of it. So something like that.
Said, no, we'll take care of it,
something like that.
And that's the only thing you were able to gather from Mr. Shakur?
Yeah, I couldn't get him to talk to me any further than that. That was repeated a couple of times.
I'm going to approach with a few photographs. So obviously when an incident, well, let me back up. When an incident like this happens, there's first responders, but then there is detectives, crime scene analysts, everybody who's called out.
Yes, sir.
Showing you what's been marked as grand jury exhibit number 4. You recognize the individual who appears to be inside that vehicle at that time?
Dan Ford.
Do you know what he did for Metro?
At the time, he was a detective. I was not there when that photograph was taken, but at the time he was a detective. I'm not sure what he was, homicide or general assignment or...
Could be a crime scene analyst.
Crime scene analyst, yeah, CSI.
Okay. And then I'm just going to show you a few other pictures of the vehicle itself, showing you state's proposed exhibits 5 through 8. Just flip through those.
Okay.
Is that how the vehicle appeared to you when you first arrived on scene? Obviously without people in it.
Right, on the scene of the...
he did look big
where
fucking
it
that
stopped
car.
on Harmon Boulevard.
Move to admit 5 through 8.
Any objection, Mr. Sand?
No objection, Your Honor.
So admitted, you may publish.
And then finally, while you were at UMC, did you collect some personal items off Mr. Shakur?
Yes.
Showing you what's been marked as state proposed exhibit number 33. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is it?
That's the objects I removed from Tupac Shakur. I impounded those into evidence. There should be a property report for those.
Let's talk about that large gold chain we see in that photograph right there. The second time you came across Mr. Shakur, was he wearing that gold chain that's around his neck?
No.
And so you weren't able to recover that from him at the hospital?
No.
Judge, I'm just going to put up a few of the...
So then where his fucking gold chain go that quick? Did they ever get it back? Because, like, if he didn't get it at the hospital, where was it at? Because I know a person ain't going to wait till he was in the middle of being shot to take it.
These photographs.
Okay. Experts letting me know that 4 was not admitted.
Move to admit 4.
Any objection, Mr. Sam?
No objection, Your Honor.
So admitted.
Showing you 4. That's Mr. Ford appearing like he's inside that vehicle. Okay. 5.
Yeah, Suge ain't had no business being in the car that side. He ain't had no business being in the car that goddamn side. And you know what I mean? Like, real shit.
That's the front of the vehicle.
You know how low you gotta be for your homeboy to be shot, and the first thing you do before even getting aid or rendering aid or trying to help him is take his chain off his neck?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, she's typing down everything, so you got to answer yes or no.
Apologies.
That's the rear of the vehicle without the license plate still.
Yes.
Number 8 is the driver's side of the vehicle.
Yes.
And oops.
Mr. DeJacmo,
Right, no, I put the
also
wrong
not
one up,
admitted.
Judge.
Okay. Keep going.
There you go. 7. That is what the passenger side of that vehicle looked like.
Yes.
Finally, for you, 33. Those are the items you were collected off Mr. Secure at the hospital.
Yes.
But Mr. Samt has requested, and I've agreed, to also offer Dan Ford's CSA report, as Mr. Ford is not physically capable of coming to court to testify.
So that'll be admitted via stipulation?
Yes.
What exhibit did you want it to be?
I guess we could just make it next in order, which I believe is 143.
All right, that'll be admitted via stipulation as 143.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No problem. I think 33 is the work down. They have not been put it.
And based upon that agreement,
This is 33. 33 is also not admitted.
move to admit 33.
Any objection?
No objection needed.
So admitted.
And based on that agreement that we've reached with Mr. Samt, I believe he has no objection to the rest of Mr. Ford's crime scene photographs at this particular...
Damn, what the fuck was in 33 then? I want to know what the fuck was picture 33? Shit, we need to see everything.
scene, which is state proposed exhibits 9 through 32.
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right, 9 through 32 will be admitted via stipulation. You may publish.
I'll pass the witness.
Okay.
I get that the chains don't belong to the artist, but goddamn, can't you wait to the hospital? Do you get to, I mean, you ain't even know the man was dead yet. The man ain't dying until he got to the hospital. I mean, let him have his chain.
And you are Mr. Gale.
Yes.
Well, welcome back to the courtroom.
Thanks.
Oh my God, here come Aladdin. He about to piss me off.
So let me ask you this. So how long had you been working for Metro until you retired?
Like 13 years.
I see. And at the time when you were on the bicycle on September 7, 1996, how long had you been working for Metro at that point?
Yeah, I thought that's what you asked to begin with. I started in '83, so it would have been right around 13 years.
I see. And obviously, when you are first a police officer, you go through an academy before you become an actual police officer.
Yes, sir.
And you learn skills and techniques and things to help you become a successful police officer.
Yes.
One of those things I would imagine would be writing reports.
Yes.
Now, fair to say though, in this particular case, what you had done was basically you saw a license plate that wasn't on a vehicle, you stopped them, you asked for their ID, and at some point...
Yeah, actually, Vonda, both of them was. If you know what I'm saying, there was alleged rumors that both of them were leaving labels. Tupac and Biggie. You dig what I mean? So yeah, it really would have been problem. I mean, Suge and Puffy would have lost a lot of money. They made a lot of money during the beef. You dig? So like, I can only imagine how they wanted it. I mean, how they would have felt if that would have came to a halt. But I agree. I think Pac for sure was making moves. And you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why it's it's always been real iffy when it came down to all of this shit.
You just allowed them to continue on their way.
Yes.
So there was no need to write a report about that.
No.
Okay. Did you write a report and with regard to that stop?
No.
Okay. Now, when you were present at the scene and you saw the vehicle stop, do you know if any other vehicles were behind it?
No, I did not see any other vehicles behind it, so I don't know.
So there wasn't like a caravan or a line of vehicles behind the black BMW when you stopped the BMW?
No.
Can you describe for us a little bit about what the area was like on the night of September 7th, 1996?
It was a pretty average night for the Strip as far as the amount of traffic flowing and things like that. Not particularly crowded or packed or anything like that. The area we stopped in had some lighting, but it wasn't like right in front of a hotel or something that cast a lot of lighting on the area or anything like that. But,
I see.
you know, nothing out of the ordinary.
So there was nothing out of the ordinary as to that particular date and time in terms of any special events going on in Las Vegas at that particular time?
I'm sorry, there was always something going on the Strip, so...
Yeah, I think that's what's pissing me off with this motherfucking attorney. He looked like too many nigga people. He looked like too many damn people. You feel me? He looked like Bill Murray. He looked like Johnny Depp. He looked like motherfucking Aladdin. And then when I'm looking at him right now, you feel what I'm saying? He looked like Kevin Spacey with hair. I'm pissed off right now. Like, who is this nigga? Facts.
I heard that things were going on that night, but I wasn't really aware of them.
Were you ever aware that on that particular night there was a championship boxing match between Mike Tyson and Bruce Seldon that was being held at the MGM?
Yes.
All right. And I would venture to say that that would be something that would have been briefed to all the police officers prior to you going on your shift for that night.
No, we didn't really talk about it.
All right. And then with regards to the amount of traffic, you're saying that even though this championship fight had taken place, in your opinion, there wasn't a lot of traffic on the Strip?
Not more than ordinary.
Okay. And when you say not more than ordinary, can you describe for us what that means exactly?
So the Strip is always pretty crowded, or was at that time. So, that's why they had us out there on bicycles. It's because we could get in between and out of cars. So I guess when we conducted the car stop, there was enough traffic that we felt comfortable that he was going to have to stop and pull over, that he wouldn't be able to just take off on us.
Right.
And that's the best description I have. That's why we rode bikes out there. So, but there was always traffic in that area. So it's always congested over there.
Okay, and that's probably the best way to put it, right? It's still congested for Las Vegas.
Yes.
But it's normal for Las Vegas to be congested.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it wasn't like, for instance, I don't know if you were around Las Vegas in 2020 when you could just take your bicycle and just ride down.
I'll be going after the defense attorney like hell.
Right? It's not that.
I'm like, no.
All right. And when you say congested, meaning that cars could not go very fast because there's always cars around in that area.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in addition to that, your testimony was that you had arrived on scene, and then at some point you're actually in the ambulance with Mr. Shakur.
Yes.
Being transported to the hospital.
Yes.
And the hospital you were going to was UMC.
It was UMC.
Okay. Now, when a police officer first arrives on scene, is that police officer considered to be the primary officer until such time as they are relieved of that duty?
Ordinarily, yes.
Were you the primary officer at that particular scene? Were you the first officer on arrival?
I don't really remember. There were so many of us that showed up like at right around the same time. There was just a lot of officers showed up there pretty quickly.
Right. Now, I mean, you have a pretty clear memory of this. Did you review any records or have any meetings with the district attorney's office prior to your testimony here today?
Yes, I did. I reviewed the records.
Okay. And once again, you do that so it'll help you refresh your recollection as to what occurred 30 years ago.
Yes.
Okay. Even though this might be something that's unusual, right? You have a celebrity who's shot on the strip, you still have to refresh your recollection in order for you to remember things.
Some of it, yes.
Yeah. And once again, you're doing that so you make sure for this jury that you're accurate about what you recall 30 years ago.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in addition to that, you were shown a map, and I'm going to show you again here. This is State's Exhibit number 1. See this?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me, this map, do you know if this map was the actual map in 1996 of the Las Vegas area?
No.
Okay, you're smiling.
It's just a long time ago. It changes so much down there.
Yeah. So we know that this is a map of Las Vegas.
Yes.
But you cannot tell us, for instance, if this is 1996.
No, I cannot tell you.
Okay. So, for instance, on the top over here, this doesn't look like the sphere, does it? Does it?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
And then down over here, does this look like T-Mobile or anything like that, as far as you can tell?
No.
Okay. Now, and once again, I just want to make sure I'm clear for the jury. This
Nigga, I don't understand what the fuck they got to do anything. One thing's for sure is that the street ain't changed. The pavement's the same. Nigga, he told you the vicinity where Pac was shot. That's all that matter. Who gives a fuck what T-Mobile and the spear is, nigga? The street is the same.
The map as it sits here right now, as it's here, for instance, we have what looks like down here at the bottom. I'm pointing where the MGM label is right here. Do these look like walk bridges over the streets?
I can't really tell.
Let me just scroll here real quick. Does that help you?
Yeah, they do look like walkways.
And fair to say that those walk bridges in 1996, people were still walking on the streets, crossing like pedestrian crosswalks, right?
I'm trying to recall. I couldn't honestly recall.
Yeah.
I remember them taking the crosswalks out and putting those walkways in.
Right.
I remember when they did that, but I don't remember the year they did it.
And once again, I'm not trying to. It's not a catch-a moment.
No, I understand. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I don't want to say something that I can't be sure of, but I remember when I was down there working, they no longer allowed traffic to cross on foot across the strip because of all of the accidents that we had. So they put those walkways in when I was still working.
Right. Okay. Now, and just finally here, with regards to the when you're riding on the strip and you're riding with your with the other person that's with you, you said at some point you were made aware that there was a shooting that had occurred, and the radio traffic indicated that the vehicle you had stopped was potentially the vehicle that was being involved. Remember that line of questioning?
Yes.
Do you think it would have changed the outcome of things if he did get him a ticket and shit like that for not having no license plate on the car? Because as you can see, the Jack Sparrow dude had just asked him, like, did he do a report? And he said, no, he didn't do a report. And sometimes you just kind of wish they did a report or something, because it probably would have slowed everything that happened that night. Now, would it have changed? You know what I'm saying? If Pac would have lived like on some Final Destination shit, who knows? But it was just so many different things that happened that night that seemed like it was just trying to make it just seemed like it was trying to direct Pac from going out, from being around. It just, I don't know, man. It was just, I don't know. When you look at it, it's just so eerie.
Okay, can you tell us just really quickly here, based upon State's Exhibit number 1, and once again, we're not looking at it in terms of an accurate 1996 view, but just in terms of the streets. Can you tell us where you were at when you took off to wherever the vehicle was? And I'll just pull that here real quick so you can.
Thank you. Sure. I couldn't really tell you where we were because my memory serves me, it was called out right around the same time as we were rolling up on that vehicle.
Okay.
There was shots fired call and vehicles involved, and then we rolled up and saw that vehicle in the middle of Harmon.
And when you rolled up and you saw the vehicle, can you tell us other vehicles that were behind that vehicle? Were there any other, vehicles in an entourage behind the black vehicle?
There were several vehicles stopped all over the strip. It was cluttered with cars, so I couldn't tell you if they were with them or not.
Sure. Did other police officers aid in terms of securing the scene and making sure that anything of evidentiary value was going to be kept in that area?
Yes.
Because I would imagine it wasn't just you by yourself.
Right.
Your partner, other officers arriving on scene would have started to help as a team.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Any redirect examination, Mr. DeJoffo?
No, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, do you have any questions for this witness? If you do, please raise your hand and I'll walk you through the process.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Just V. That's what makes it so eerie, because when you listen to Kadada's accounts, she kept trying to make Pac stay, which made them be late to get to Club 626, which made Keefe D them leave 626 because he was like, they haven't showed up yet. And it just seems like everything that night was trying to slow Pac down from going to the 626 and just going, period. You would have thought that when he fought that night at the MGM Grand, that would have made him say, look, man, I'm going to just stay in the house and kick it with my shorty. It's too hot. They're going to probably be looking for me and blah, blah, blah. And even when he made up the decision to go to 626, it was like his girl didn't want him to leave. So now he late getting to 626. He finally get ready to go to 626. You feel what I'm saying or whatever? And it's like they leave 626. And then it was like, nigga, right when they trying to goddamn get there, he go to girl, Tupac, give me a picture. Well, let them see that. It was just like everything in the world was trying to prevent him from just getting killed. And it just did not work.
Seeing no hands, thank you so much for being with us, Mr. Dale. You are excused.
Thank you.
State may call their next witness.
This Your Honor, State calls Ingrid Stokes. Yes.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this section shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You may be seated. May I please have you state and spell your first and last name for the record?
Ingrid Stokes, INGRIDSTOKES.
Thank you, ma'am. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Cole, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Stokes.
Good morning.
Back in 1996, did you have a different last name?
It was Johnson.
Okay, so you went by Ingrid Johnson back then? So yes.
Yes.
Did you come to Las Vegas on the weekend of September 7th, 1996?
Yes.
Oh, so this was one of the ladies that was in the car that took the pic of the Pac. Damn, she took an infamous picture.
Who'd you come with?
My best friend and some girlfriends.
Okay, can you tell me who they were?
Shalane, Tanisha, and Lauren.
And why'd you come to Las Vegas that weekend?
Well, when you live in LA, you go to Vegas all the time. It's just a party city. So we decided to go for the weekend. We were all off work. And so we went to come hang out, have fun.
And were you aware, and well, first let me take a step back. So you guys were living in LA at the time?
Yes.
What part of LA?
I'm maybe living at my dad's, which is Carson.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then and you came out for the purposes to party. Were you aware that there was a Mike Tyson fight that weekend?
Yes, that's one of the reasons. There was always a Mike Tyson fight. But we were coming because my friend knew one of the managers or coaches, I forget what they're called, and we were planning on going to the fight.
Did you end up going to the fight?
No.
What happened?
4 women in the bathroom did not work. We took too long. We missed the fight completely.
And so, where were you staying that night?
I believe we were at the Lexor, or the Rio, but I think it was the Lexor.
Okay. And then, did you ever actually make it to the MGM where the fight was?
We made it to the let out, is what I call it, because the fight was already over, so everyone was trying to kind of hang out. So we went to see what was going on for the night.
And did you hang out there for a while?
I don't remember, but it would have been enough time to run into a few friends and say hello and hang out, and maybe a drink or two, maybe.
So, what did you do after hanging out at the MGM Grand?
Well, we had met one of my friends, and they had mentioned there was somewhere they were going to go. So we decided, okay, we'll go there first and see what's happening before we decide, where we're going to end the night. So we all got back in our car, the rented car we took from LA, and drove.
And do you recall?
Can you imagine how many times that pic would have been shared on her page if back then was now? Like, she would be famous for that picture right now, bro. Like, dead ass.
What kind of car that was?
It was a convertible Supreme.
And did all 4 of you go into the car?
Yes, all 4 of us were in the car.
And what happened once you guys started driving?
It's a loaded question. A lot happened. We got in the car. I believe we left the MGM parking lot, and then we went to the main street, Las Vegas Boulevard, I guess. And we were driving, and I believe we were, I don't know, about 10 minutes after leaving the parking lot, and then we ran into Suge and Tupac in the car.
And when you say you ran into them, what did that look like?
Well, we were...
Just think about it. It was 30 years ago. So she probably was young and fine. She beautiful now, but like, you gotta understand, she probably was like, you know what I'm saying, in her 20s and shit. So it's like, it's so crazy how long ago this happened, and we're just now getting insight about it now, and it's so wild.
We were driving, hanging out in a convertible, and my girlfriend, Lauren, at the time, she knew Suge, and she told us, hey, there's Suge, pull up next to him. I'm gonna ask them what they're doing. And so Shalane was the driver, and she slowed up close to me.
And so you said Shalane was the driver.
Yes.
Where were you seated?
I was the passenger, in front.
In the front passenger? So Shalane's driving, you're in the front passenger, and the other 2 women are in the back seat?
Yeah, Tanisha's behind me, and then Lauren is behind the driver.
After all these years, you still know that, huh?
Well, yeah. Some things you don't forget. That one.
Yeah, nigga, that day is significant. Shit, it probably reshaped her whole life.
And so then when you start driving, when you see Suge and your friend starts talking to Suge, what happens?
They were talking, and she was like, what's going on, what's happening? We look over, and we pull up to the car, and we kind of nod or say hello, that kind of thing, but we were in our own little world. While she was talking to him, he said, hey, we're all going to the club, why don't you follow us, get behind us, you can go with us. And so that was, decided we'll go there first and see what's happening before we go anywhere else.
So do you follow, do you remember who's driving and who's in the passenger side?
Suge was driving and Tupac was in the passenger seat.
Alright.
And these ladies said they was in a convertible, right? So they was in a convertible in a drop top, right? Well, they lucky they didn't get their muffin top peeled back blue. Shit.
Is this kind of the way they look at night?
Yeah, that was just like this.
And so, follow.
Decided we'll go there first and see what's happening before we go anywhere else.
So do you follow, do you remember who's driving and who's in the passenger side?
Suge was driving and Tupac was in the passenger seat.
All right. Well, what do you guys see in like 3? We're going to publish that. Is this kind of the way they look at night?
That was just like this.
And so, you decided to follow Suge and Tupac to the club?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
That's okay. And so, do you recall the name of that club?
It was an area code, so I remember it was 662 or 702, but now I know it's 662.
And then when did you...
I was calling that shit 626, no bullshit.
Did you guys start driving over to...
We got behind them and we started driving down the Las Vegas Strip. And it was weird because there was a car behind us and they kept going around us trying to get in front of us. It happened quite often. It was really annoying. We didn't understand what was going on. And then at one point we were getting ready to turn to go on the main street. I guess Flamingo was on, or Flamingo, I think is what it's called. When we turned that way, I was like, what the heck's going on? People keep getting in front of us. I know how to get to the club. Let's figure out our own way. I can drive and we can meet them up there. And so our plan was to get out from behind.
Damn. Do you see what the fuck I mean? like, lady, I wish you just didn't know how to get there. It's like everything in the world was working against Shawty, man.
So you were confused by the way the cars were moving?
Yeah, I didn't understand. In hindsight, I know now, but I didn't understand there was entourage. I just thought, they were going to the club. We didn't think about it.
And then at some point on Flamingo, do you stop at a light?
Yeah, so when we get close to the light, I tell Shalane, pull over, I'll drive. I know where I'm going. I've been there before. So we pull from around them. And then we stopped at the light and
before that's my fault, not yours. So before when you guys were stopped at the light, where is your car relative to Suge Knight's and Tupac Shakur's car?
So I believe there was 4 lanes, a turning lane, the lane next to it, the middle, and then there was one for like the outside lane. So they were on the 3rd lane, I believe, and when we got off the lane behind them, we got out and we went past, and I think we were a car or 2 on the 2nd lane from the light.
And so were you behind or in front of Suge Knight's car?
We were in front.
So you're in the lane next over, a car, or maybe 2 in front.
Yeah, exactly.
Then while you're waiting at that light, does anything happen?
Bro, after all of this time, this is the first time that we're getting a lot of motherfucking, information of how everything was set up. Because, see, I was under the impression that this whole time these ladies were standing right next to them. I didn't know it was 4 lanes. I'm always thinking that it was like a 2-lane strip. I don't know what the fuck. So now it's making sense to me. So basically what they're saying is that they're like ahead of them, but they're like to the side of them. So basically, this is crazy as hell. But keep going.
Well, me and Shalane were going to change seats. I was going to drive. I'm the more aggressive driver. After what, she was nervous with them coming back in front of us so much. So me and Shalane were literally head down, taking our seatbelts off when we heard the gunshots.
Damn.
All hell broke loose.
And to be fair, you didn't see those gunshots.
No.
And then what do you do when you hear the gunshot?
Yo, that is so crazy because just think about, them ladies almost was behind them to see this deliberately. I was always under the impression that these ladies seen the whole thing unfold. Swear to God.
I freak out and I scream, what the hell? I said, what the hell? And then Shalane is kind of half up, half down, and so I grab her head to bring her down. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And then she has her hand on the wheel, but she's like frozen. And so I don't remember how many gunshots there were, honestly. But I know I put the car in drive, and I told her to get the hell out of there and drive. And so I may even grab the wheel. Like I said, I'm very aggressive. And from that, she tried to drive off.
And then...
Hold on, I thought she was behind the wheel of the car. What happened? Because then she said she was getting into the wheel of the car. What?
All hell broke loose.
And to be fair, you didn't see...
Yeah, exactly.
Then while you're waiting at that light, does anything happen?
Well, me and Shalane were going to change seats. I was going to drive. I'm the more aggressive driver. After what, she was nervous with them coming back in front of us so much. So me and Shalane were literally head down.
Oh, I see what she was saying. They was just about to switch. So that's what she was like. She was just unbuckling her seatbelt when the shots rang off. Okay, let's keep going.
Down, taking our seatbelts off.
Okay.
When we heard the gunshots.
Gotcha.
When it's all hell broke loose.
And to be fair, you didn't see those gunshots.
No.
And then what do you do when you hear the gunshots?
I freak out and I scream, "What the hell? I said, "What the hell?" And then Shalane is kind of half up, half down, and so I grab her head to bring her down. And I was like, "What the hell is going on?" And then she has her hand on the wheel, but she's like frozen. And so I don't remember how many gunshots there were, honestly. But I know I put the car in drive, and I told her to get the hell out of there and drive. And so I may even grab the wheel. Like I said, I'm very aggressive. And from that, she tried to drive off.
And then, did you see the color of the vehicle?
Yeah, so we almost hit the car. When we were trying to drive off, there was a car in that last lane, that was the turning lane, and it was a white four-door. Can't tell you what kind, but I just know it was like white-ish. And we almost hit it when we were trying to get away.
Were you trying to pursue the white car?
Hell no. Just want to get away.
And then where did you guys go? Did you turn off? Did you follow them turning off? Or?
We turned off. We turned the only way you could turn because it was a red light, which was down that first street past. And then when we turned right, we were just driving fast.
So now I got a very vivid understanding. Okay, so they were in the second lane to the furthest right hand lane to where this turns. So they're in the second lane. Tupac and them was in the third lane, 2 cars behind them. So after the white car shot Tupac, because you got to understand at this time, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, they were behind Tupac and them car because they moved. You know what I'm saying? So then the white car goes from from behind Tupac's and them car to the right of Tupac car, which now will be putting them in the second lane as well, probably like a car behind them. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. They shoot at Tupac and them and then start veering to the furthest right lane to make that right turn. Now they hearing the shots and they trying to get away. So instinctively they go to make that right turn too. And they almost collide with the persons who was shooting at Tupac and them. Okay, now it makes sense. Because we never knew this shit. This is crazy.
There might have been gunshots. I can't speak for anyone else in the car, but there was a lot going on. There was a lot of adrenaline. And then the first street we saw that was on the left, I was like, turn left. And we just turned down a random street that had like apartments on it.
Now, it's fair to say you didn't see who was in the car, right?
No, didn't look.
But did you go back to where the shooting occurred?
Yes, I did.
Were you nervous about talking about what happened?
I didn't think I had anything valuable to say, to be honest. So I wasn't nervous initially because I just was like, we came back because we wondered what happened. Because we left, so we didn't know. We didn't look around. We didn't see anything. We just left. And so when we came back, we saw there were a lot of police presence. And I wasn't a big fan of the police at the time, so it was like I wanted to stop and talk to them and offer my help, but I also wanted to make sure if I could help, I would help. So when we went back, we told the officers we had been there when some.
I love articulate black women, black men. I love us. I mean, for real. I love the fact that she's narrating what she said. It got the hood, but it got a twang of that class too. Go girl, shit. Fuck you talking about?
Something happened. What happened when we left? And so he made us stop the car and get out the car. The police officer made us sit on the ground on the sidewalk in front of everybody. Cars were still, I think, may have been passing. So it was kind of.
They probably making it seem like y'all shot
an odd situation where they were like kind of rude to us, and then they're treating us like we're suspects. We really didn't know what happened though, and so they said, "We need you guys, eyewitnesses. We need you guys to come downtown or in a van for you guys to come," and had us sit there. I kept asking a lot of questions, but no answers.
Now,
what were some of the questions, girl? Shit, tell us, cause they ain't trying to tell us shit.
I know some of your friends aren't going to be here. Is there this fear about talking in this kind of case?
Absolutely, yes.
Why is that?
Snitches get ditches, saying, not cool.
Damn, her own friends ain't gonna testify who was there because they scared. You dig? And that's sad as hell because that's the type of stigma we got in our community. You feel me? And that's why none of our babies get justice. And that's sad as hell. Snitches get stitches. And these ladies ain't gangbangers, nigga. You know what I'm saying? But they still afraid because they still get treated by the same code as gangsters. And it shouldn't be like that. I'm letting you right now. I'm telling. So do what you gotta do, partner.
But yeah, I know talking to police is not a thing we do in our culture anyway in LA. It's not a normal thing. So there was that, especially in the 90s and 80s. There was multiple reasons why, but I didn't see anything. So I was kind of limbo. I didn't see anything. I didn't think I'd be beneficial. And then I don't know. I was going to offer some assistance when I could, because I may have had more memory back then. I may have heard the number of gunshots. I may have had, more. But the police treated us so bad that I just we started shutting down. Because we're like, if someone did it, they could come by and sit on the ground. They can see we're sitting here telling people, even though we're not saying anything. So this was a really bad situation.
And is it fair to say that that was something that also would scare you, is that if somebody was seeing you talking?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think about it like that. But just think about if Keefe did them would have circled the block just to see what they did. No, they would have seen them young ladies sitting right there and just automatically thought that they had a description on the car and all types of shit. You feel me? And they could have retaliated. Yeah, I don't think that sometimes the police officers be looking at it from that standpoint. Because when y'all go home to La Brea or wherever the fuck y'all live at night, nigga, you know what I'm saying? We right back over here in the hood. And they remember us. Shit, how you talking about?
What's your response, Mr. Paul?
I'm just following up on her question that she related foundation to.
Also state if you could rephrase.
Okay.
Hi, Shante.
Is it fair or unfair to say that you are concerned about people seeing you talking to police?
Yes.
No further questions.
Cross-examination, Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Honor.
Hi, Mr.
Obviously, I would imagine you've never testified.
First of all, pump your brakes, Spiral Curl. You know what I'm saying? Because we ain't got time for your herbal essences. For real, with your treasures and shit. This is our family. Fuck you talking about?
About this particular situation.
No, I was in the grand jury.
Okay, so you were at the grand jury. And with regards to your testimony when you were in front of the grand jury, did you meet with the district attorney's office prior to giving that testimony to the grand jury?
Not except outside the door when I got to the courthouse. I mean, the door of the grand jury.
I see. And with regards to that testimony, did you review any documents, records, anything like that in preparation for your testimony in front of the grand jury?
No.
All right. Now, asking you again for today, did you review any documents in preparation for your testimony here in front of this jury?
I looked at the grand jury testimony that I said, but other than that, no.
Okay. Now, when this thing had occurred, I would imagine it would have been a very traumatic experience for you.
Yes.
And at some point you go back to LA.
That's what I'm trying to say. Was it a different set of fucking girls that was yelling Tupac? Because see, this is what got me blipped. I mean, so who took the picture? So it had to be a different set of girls because it seemed like these people knew Suge. So if these girls was in the back just, talking while her homegirl was rapping to Suge, it would have been no reason for them to be screaming Tupac. So where's the Tupac screaming bitches at?
Yes. Is that a yes?
Yes.
That's all right. It's just for the record. When you go back to LA, did you ever
That's who the
just
fuck
sort
we
of keep
need.
on top of it, like in terms of like articles that would come out in magazines, anything like that at all?
No, we didn't talk about that night for decades. We didn't talk about it.
Okay. Now, did you ever at any point capture what you had remembered in a journal or anything like that?
I did a couple documentaries. Yes, years. Like 20 years later.
I see. And in preparation for those documentaries, what did you use to refresh your recollection back then?
How come I don't remember seeing her on no goddamn documentary? Y'all remember her? Huh? Y'all do?
Talk to my girlfriend. I mean, more talk and try to remember pieces that I could.
Right. And your girlfriend was also present in the Sebring when it happened?
Yes,
as
she was driving.
I see.
That's
Now, just to describe us a little bit that night, you're driving in a convertible Sebring,
yes,
and I'd assume that the top was probably down.
the top was down.
Okay. And the weather that night, was it raining?
No.
Nigga, what? How the fuck? For real? Don't piss me off.
Can you describe for the jury what the weather was like that night?
It was Vegas in September. It probably, I mean, I'd be guessing, but I know what it wasn't. It wasn't raining. It could have been a cloud in the sky, but I wouldn't remember that.
Was it
No, it
cold?
wasn't bad.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. We didn't have any jackets. We had designer clothes. That's why I was mad. I had to sit on the curb. But no, we were. It was a nice, cool evening. So I would probably say.
I mean, Tupac had on a goddamn tank top, so it had to be a nice fucking night, Mr. Man.
80s, 70s, 80s. I have no idea.
All right. But obviously, among the four girls, no jackets or anything that would indicate that it was cold that night.
Yes. No.
Now, in addition to that, your testimony was that you had pulled up alongside Suge Knight's vehicle at some point.
Yes.
Now, I noticed that you weren't given a map. Did you ever have an opportunity to kind of envision exactly where this had occurred?
I didn't forget that part.
Okay. If I were to show you a map, would you?
Oh, okay. It was a dude who did it. Okay, thank you so much, J. Michelle Humphrey.
Be able to point out for
Yes.
us exactly?
Much as I can. Yes, absolutely.
Sure. I'm going to show you what's been marked in there. This states exhibit number 1. Just for the record, I'm showing you states exhibit number 1. It's just an overview of Las Vegas. Can you?
Yes.
Does that help you at all?
No, not really. But I see the streets. It's what I thought. I'm assuming the red dot is Vegas Boulevard.
And we say red dot. There's a mouse that's right there in front of you. You can use that to sort of move that mouse over to where. No, that doesn't do that.
I can point it, but
Now let me do this.
When you're on our computer, can you do that? This doesn't here.
you can point it.
All right. So would it this be? I'm
Yes,
using my
that's-
Sharpie. That's
yes,
the dot.
yes.
Okay. So yes, that would be Las Vegas Boulevard. Now I'm going to point over here. Do you recognize this particular area?
Yeah, that's where it happened.
Okay. And this I'm pointing now once again for the record. Flamingo, and it looks like this would be Coble.
Cool. That sounds about right.
Now, you were describing for us a little bit about where the cars were. If I were to give you a piece of paper, can you draw for us just a little bit better so we can have a better view?
I can try.
Okay. You want me to approach?
Yes, you may.
And what am I drawing exactly again?
If you could draw for us where, on that night, where Coble was. And just for the record, you're writing Coble, is it for the horizontal line or the vertical line?
It is the horizontal line.
Okay, so that's Coble. And then can you draw for us where Suge's vehicle was when you pulled up to it?
We were behind it.
Okay.
So it would have been, I was going to make lanes, and like, don't quote me, I could be off by one, of course. So I'll say this was Suge, and we were behind. So this
There
was,
you go, family.
I'm going to put I for me. And then we moved and went right here. So this is where we end up parking. I'm not parking, but stopping at the red light.
That's fine. And just for the record, you have made a mark that looks like
You might have to refresh so you won't have the ads.
an S, and I would assume that would be for Suge's vehicle.
Yes.
And then there's another I, it looks like right there, and that would be for your vehicle.
Yes.
And then you have an arrow pointing to the next lane over where the I is now at.
Yes, that's where it ended.
Okay, great. And then when the shots, when you're, I guess, trying to change seats, can you tell us where you were at that particular point?
You mean in the car? Or-
Well, not in the car, but
Oh.
where the car was.
It was here when the shots happened.
Okay,
And when we were trying to flee, we were trying to get in this lane to go around and get the turn.
I see.
And that's what we ended up doing eventually.
I see. So when the shots were fired, you were still in that I,
The I,
and
yes.
then you pulled off onto Coble.
Yes.
Okay. Now this this area right here, what is this? What street is that?
What do you mean? This Flamingo? No, is this Flamingo, I'm assuming? I'm guessing, like I said, I'm bad at direction, places I still go today.
That's right.
And then here was like a gas station or something right there. And then here was where we turned off, right, which is where that first left was. So I don't know the name of the streets or anything.
No problem. I'm going to show this to the judge. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right. Your Honor, if I could have this marked as defendant's exhibit, opposed defendant's exhibit A,
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
and move for admission.
Any objection to its admission?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so admitted. Did you want to publish?
I would like to publish it.
Okay, feel free.
Thank you. Now, showing you what's been marked and admitted now as defense exhibit A. All right, and I will just explain this for the jury again. So where you have Coble is actually the street Coble, is that right?
Yes.
And you have Flamingo, which would be the other street that's going vertical down the defense exhibit A.
Yes.
And then on the corner, it would be one of the corners. There's a gas station.
Yes.
Now over here, this S, that would be what you would call a Suge Knight's vehicle.
Yes.
And you were directly behind that vehicle at some
Yes.
point. And you pulled up. And
Okay, so the way I had it in my brain is completely right. And then they came around. So after they move up, the white car moves where she was. You dig what I mean? Then after that, you feel what I mean? They move to the right lane again, shoot Tupac and them, and then go all the way to the right-hand lane to make that right on Koval. And they almost both hit cars on Koval trying to turn. So when they turn on Koval, I guess the car goes and do whatever the fuck they want to, and then she makes that first left on the other side of the gas station. Okay, so that's crazy as fuck because, like, nigga, I was under the impression that the strip was just packed. You dig what I mean? It was I never had an understanding on how things was set up. I was feeling like the girls pulled up, they seen everything. You feel what I'm saying? But this wasn't even the girls that was screaming Tupac. Like, this is crazy as hell, dog.
And that's the arrow pointing up to the next lane over, and that's where you were at, right next to Suge's vehicle.
In front of, not next to. That's why it's a little above.
I see. So you're slightly in front of Suge's vehicle.
It's like a car. It's like a car in front of. It's like a car in front of Suge, and then it's like a car in front of. It's a car behind her. So she's like a car in front of Suge and Pac. You know what I'm saying? When the whole thing occurred. Now, what's happening is, right now, from the way that she's understanding it, her and her homegirl is about to switch seats so she could be the one to drive the 626. But while they unbuckling their seatbelts, that's when the shooting start. So they didn't even get a chance to switch. They just get ready to bust that right on Koval. That's crazy as hell. I would have never known this shit.
Was there another vehicle over here in front of Suge's vehicle?
I'm assuming yes, because we weren't at the front of the line. So yes, maybe two.
I see. Maybe two vehicles, but presuming that there would be at least a vehicle in front of Suge's vehicle.
At least two, I'd say, because there was one in front of me.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And then this lane over here what lane is that?
That's the a small lane that you can turn off.
Turning lane?
Yeah, it didn't say, but yes.
Yeah. And so at some point when the shots were ringing out, you just immediately just gassed the car and made a right-hand turn on Koval.
Yeah, into the turning lane.
Okay. And your testimony here right now, for instance, is that the top was down, but you didn't see...
No, I was looking down because I was initially changing my seat. So thank God, I was all face down.
Okay. And when you pulled off and you made that right-hand turn, did anyone shoot at you?
Probably. I honestly don't know. There was a lot of gunshots.
Sure. Did any... after the event had occurred, did you ever observe any bullet holes in your vehicle?
There was no bullet hole in my vehicle.
Was there any shattered windshield as a result of, anything?
No.
I don't know how, nigga, the window, the top, well, you talking about the windshield, but the top was down. It's good that their head didn't get blown off. You want them to be able to give you some testimony? They could have lost their head.
Happening on the scene?
No.
Okay. And then with regards to where you were at, when your testimony was that you were talking to Suge. Suge was saying, "Hey, come to 662." Is that what was happening?
Yes.
And during that time period, you said, and I want to make sure I'm clear, that while there was a conversation about going over to Suge's place, but it seemed like everyone was sort of talking. Like it was like the girls in the backseat maybe were having a conversation or something like that.
No. Lauren was the only one talking to Suge. She's the only one who knew him.
I see.
So nobody. We were just like, oh, okay, looking like, because it wasn't our conversation.
Right. And when that was happening, did any of your people in your vehicle yell out, Tupac, Tupac, anything
No,
like that?
absolutely not.
Oh my gosh, it's Tupac.
No.
Okay. Now, during that time period, as you're over here behind Suge's vehicle or next to it, did you ever see, can you describe for me what Tupac was doing in the vehicle?
When we pulled up on the side of him and she was talking to Suge, he was relaxed, like sitting in the chair, sitting in the passenger seat, and Suge was relaxed talking to Lauren. Nothing, like there was no engagement.
Okay, so as you're sitting there and you pull up, Tupac was not hanging out the window and doing something out of the window.
Absolutely not, no.
Okay. His torso was not sitting on top of the window yelling to his fans, Tupac, Tupac.
No, there was no fans around. They were just driving in the car, listening to music like we were.
All right. And during that time period, when you were here during this time period, there's a red light.
Yes.
Preventing you from moving forward. And once again, going back to Defense Exhibit A, there's no green light allowing traffic to move in the direction of Coble.
No.
Okay, so everyone was stopped at that particular point.
Everyone was stopped.
I have no further questions, John. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any of you direct?
No, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, any questions for this witness? We do have one. Okay, so what I'll need you to do is write your juror number on the question, and then write the question on a full sheet of paper, and then hand it to my marshal when you're done.
I don't like how he looking at her, nodding his head. What that fuck that mean, Mr. Snickers bar? I don't like this fool. You feel what I'm saying? I don't like none of them.
And then write the question on a full sheet of paper, and then hand it to my marshal when you're done.
I was just about to ask that shit. Did Suge get subpoenaed? Did Suge get subpoenaed? We need to hear from his milk dud head.
Any questions from anyone else? Okay, perfect. Can I have the party's approach?
Y'all, I was all on Google Maps looking at, you know what I'm saying, what was like looking at everything step by step. And I'm pretty sure everything has changed now as far as demographics. I wonder if I can go Google Maps 1996 to see the shit, how it looked then. Y'all think they got that then? How you can go back in the maps, or you don't think they go back that far? Why the fuck? Oh, it's private conversation. Cause I'm about to say, why the fuck?
All right.
He came
one
here.
question from a juror.
Don't be motherfucking ex parteing us. Shit, we need to know. The hell you talking about? It don't go back that far?
Could you gauge what direction the shots were coming from?
No.
No? Any thought? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just.
While we got, I agree. While we got Puffy in custody, I feel like he should be forced to testify. Did you know that nigga Zip? Huh? Did you know Zip? Did you pay Zip?
It was too chaotic, and you're not, thinking about that, but no.
Okay, go. All right, one question from a juror. Could you gauge what direction the shots were coming from?
No.
No? Any thought? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just saying it was too chaotic, and you're not, thinking about that, but no.
Okay. State, any follow-up based on that question?
No, Your Honor.
Defense, any follow-up based on that question?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. You are excused. That was fast. State, any quick witnesses, or are we prepared to take a lunch break this time?
Lunch break, Judge.
Okay, sounds good. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our lunch break at this time. During the recess, you are admonished not to talk or converse amongst yourselves or with anyone else on any subject connected to the trial, or read, watch, or listen to any report or commentary on the trial of any person.
Shut up, lady. Hey, this is crazy as hell. Now, I need to know. I need to know right now. Is there anybody in the comments who is learning information that they never knew? Because, nigga, there's certain things I didn't even know. And the Feeny ain't even around to get to see the justice for her son. Who that is, y'all? Who is this right here? Who is that? Whoever it is, they look like they're related to a Finney. That's his sister, right? Is that Pac's sister? Okay, that's what I'm saying. They look like her. Okay. I mean, like, can y'all put the, what the,
In fact, I think
Where there isn't a deceased. Not again.
like, damn.
Dave,
That accident, that mall. So, you guys wired the truck. Yeah, great.
Okay, we're on record in State versus Davis, C337407. We've gotten through some of our technical issues. Anything else we need to address before bringing in the jury?
She looked just like her mama. I mean, just like her mama. And I hope when this nigga found guilty, she go medieval like her mama too.
Okay, let's bring him in.
Yeah, the jury.
Hold on, guys.
Stay silent. Did the party stick with you about the jury? Okay, you may all be seated. At this time, the state may call the next witness. All right, Mr. Becker, can you hear me?
yes, ma'am.
I'm going to have my clerk swear you. Please raise your right
Yes,
hand.
ma'am.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
May I please have you state and spell your first and last name for the record?
Brent Becker, BRENTBECKER.
I don't trust him.
Thank you.
Sir,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
thank you. Sir, you're retired these days, is that correct? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And what'd you do for a living before you retired?
I was a police officer for the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department.
It's not my computer.
And how
They
long
shit echoing.
what years were you with Metro?
I was there from 1984 to 2011.
And in September of 1996, what was your assignment?
I was a detective with the homicide section.
Do you recall how long you'd been with Hunt?
Krishan Fight is already on my Toot React channel. We reacted to it earlier. I came back on here, but we've been on since this morning, like 10 o'clock. But it's on my Toot React channel. The whole Blueface debacle.
Homicide when you in 1996.
I got into homicide, I think it was November of 1994.
Did you have a partner in 96?
Yes, it was Mike Franks.
And who was your sergeant?
Kevin Manning.
Sorry.
I don't like this man either. His lip look like it stank, and his beard stank, and his ear stank too. I was telling my wife earlier, a lot of people always be focusing on their butts, their private parts and stuff like that for stank. Their ear stank. Dead ass serious. An ear can smell just like an ass. It's a fact. You feel what I mean? Sometimes y'all be concentrating on the wrong shit. You worrying about asses and coochies. An ear will take your ass the fuck out.
He's gonna hold on a second. All right, he's gonna work on the echo.
Hey, y'all laughing, but I'm dead ass fucking serious. An ear in the belly button, that is the most stankiest shit in the world, bro. On my mama. Like, for real. A lot of y'all don't got the guts right now to rub behind y'all ear and smell it. I can because I just did mine this morning. But if it had to been like 3 days ago, I wouldn't have did it.
Can you still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I ain't crazy. I just say the shit y'all think, but y'all won't say it out loud. Cause earring, nigga, you gotta listen. If you don't push your ear hole up for the alcohol to seep through that motherfucker, that shit gonna stink, bro.
On September 7th, or into, I guess, technically into September 8th of 1996, did you get called out for a shooting that happened, ultimately determined to be happened at Flamingo and Cobalt?
Yes, Sergeant Manning called me. It was about 12:30 in the morning and I was asleep, so it would have been September 8th. And so it was around 12:30, so by the time I got up, got dressed, and got there, it was probably about 1 o'clock in the morning on the 8th.
And when you say you got there, what scene did you go to?
Initially, from what I recall, I went to Harmon in the Boulevard because that's where general assignment and everybody was at to get debriefed on things and get some of the notes. And then...
Y'all, we got to make sure that we remember in these intersections because we got to go on Google Map and do a deep dive.
From what I recall, I went over to Flamingo and Cobalt to kind of look at the scene, but they had some...
I've been over there too, sir. I'm on the case with y'all. I just left from over there. I dead ass did. So we on the same page.
Witnesses from the car that supposedly was directly behind Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur back at Harmon and the Boulevard that I needed to interview.
Can we talk a little bit, first of all, Tupac Shakur is still alive on September 8th of 1996, correct?
That's what I was told. He had already been transported. He was not at the scene when I got there.
Is it somewhat unusual for homicide to be involved in a situation where there isn't a deceased victim yet?
Yeah, because see, that's another thing I was about to ask. Why the fuck was homicide there if Pac didn't die until the next 2 days afterwards? I never understood that shit. That's why I didn't believe it when they said that the motherfucker was in the hospital still alive, because there would have been no reason for homicide to be motherfucking investigating the case at that point.
That was very unusual, and normally we don't get called out, at least at that time, we didn't get called out unless there was a deceased victim. So it was unusual. I think when we arrived at the scene, we were told that because of the nature of who the victim was, General Assignment wanted us to come out to it.
Let me ask you, we've heard from a first responder today. Back in those days, what was general assignment? What does that mean?
General Assignment was in essence, the night detectives. They worked swing shift and graveyard shift. So they were the night detectives that if something needed a detective to respond, they were the ones that got called out to the scene.
So they would have been at this scene before you, and then they made a determination along with, I assume, the command staff that homicide should be called out to this investigation.
Santa ain't eating either. Y'all, this is how Santa Claus look now in 2026. Can't eat lettuce, can't eat shit. Santa over there motherfucker stressed out. He can't eat shit. Miss Claus ain't cooked for this nigga in years because he had ate that lettuce. Santa ate that lettuce last month. Now look at it. Look at it. Hey, nah, but on some real nigga shit, another thing too that's crazy. Not only did the homicide people get called out there, but it also made me feel like, was the police involved? Like, was this on their watch? Because this, let me tell you, what's weird to me. On a night, you know what I'm saying? On a night like the fight with Pac and on the strip, you would have just thought that it would have been way more police presence in the area where that nigga, where people was killed, where he was shot at. But it's so crazy how so many people was there in a matter of seconds, like they knew it was about to happen. I always paid attention to that shit too. Like, you see how the dude on the bike was like, nigga, it wasn't even no time before, by the time he got there, and I know he on the bike, but by the time he got there, nigga, he was like, it was mad cops that was there. How you know? You know what I mean? Come on, man.
Correct. Actually, uniformed officers would have been the first people called to the scene of anything. And General Assignment, I'm sure, was monitoring the traffic. So if they had heard the call, they may have been responding, but they would have gone out, assessed the scene, and eventually determined if someone, the type of scene it was, and if someone needed to come out to it. And in this case, I guess someone must have called Sergeant Manning, because he's the one that called us.
And your partner, Detective Franks, do you recall where he responded to?
I believe he got sent directly to a University Medical Center, the hospital, which is where Shakur and I believe Suge Knight got sent to.
And your responsibility, was there also crime scene analysts that were called up to the scene?
Yeah, my initial response was to the scene to start handling things directly at the crime scene, yes.
And then does at some point crime scene analyst Dan Ford show up and document the scene while you're present?
Dan Ford was already there from what I recall. They were called CSAs back then, I believe. Dan Ford would have already been there. Usually CSAs, because CSAs were assigned to each shift. So I'm pretty sure he was that particular shift, CSA. He would have already been out there doing whatever he did for the scene, marking it, taking photographs and such.
When you, at the end of sort of both the two scene investigations, so the Harmon and Las Vegas Boulevard, as well as the Flamingo and Koval investigation, essentially, what was the facts you were dealing with?
Well, according to the witnesses that I had interviewed, Frank Alexander, Malcolm Greenidge, Katari Cox, and Yafu Fula, and I'm just doing what I remember the pronunciation was. They were in the car behind Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur, and what they...
Who the fuck is Yafa Fula? Because see, this is where I get a little iffy, because that sounds like a Muslim name, and and we know that it was said allegedly that a Muslim was the one who gunned down Biggie. Now, see, this is where it just be seeming like where the conspiracies that Suge and Diddy, conspired to have their top artists knocked off because they were rumored to be leaving. It started to make a lot of sense, because who in the fuck is a Yala Fafula? Who is that? Y'all know who that is? I ain't never heard of that name in my life.
They described was that a white car, and from what I recall, they described a white Cadillac pulling up alongside Knight's car, and
so he trying to say Gaddafi. This nigga said Yafa Fula. I said, what the fuck? Okay, that's who he trying to talk to. Because I was like, who the fuck is that?
Someone inside that white Cadillac opening fire or shooting into the car that Knight and Shakur
Yeah, he one of the outlaws. But I was like, I know I ain't heard no goddamn Yafi Fula.
were at. Their descriptions varied a little bit, but from what I recall, I believe they all said it was a white car and more or less agreed that it was a Cadillac. And there might have been a little bit of a variance between 2 and 4 occupants.
And what direction after the shooting does the vehicle head?
After the shooting, it would have turned south on Koval. That was at Flamingo and Koval, because the night group was heading eastbound on Flamingo, and the Cadillac would have originally been heading eastbound, but then it turned southbound on Koval.
Mm-hmm. And the nature of the bullet holes that are in the BMW that's located at Harmon and Las Vegas Boulevard, all those bullets appear to be coming in from the passenger side of the BMW?
The impact strikes that I saw were all on the right rear passenger door.
You said that's his full name? See, I never knew his full name. I only knew him by Gaddafi. I ain't know nothing about no Yafafalo Falula.
The right front door, or the right front passenger door, I believe there was some sort of a mark or impact on the windshield. Those were the strikes that you could see. It was you couldn't tell if anything had been a stray of any kind.
So let me ask y'all something. Y'all don't think that Keefe was there that night? Y'all don't think that he was in the car? Y'all think that he know the persons who was in the car, but y'all don't think that he was there that night? Or what?
So at your scene, you have bullets being shot from south to north into the passenger side of Suge and Tupac's car, but you have no idea how many actual bullets are fired because you can only see the strikes which are in the car.
Correct. All I can see is what the actual impacts are. That doesn't mean that's how many shots were fired. That's just how many struck the vehicle.
And I think we have another witness who's going to testify to this later, but there are a number of casings, or cartridge cases, expended cartridge cases, that ultimately get collected from the southbound lanes of Flamingo right before Koval. Is that correct?
Yes, without seeing the report, I know that there were fired cartridge cases recovered from the street. I do recall that the number of fired cartridge cases recovered from the street did not match the number of impact strikes on the vehicle, which wouldn't have been surprising considering what traffic probably was on Flamingo on a Saturday night and probably the delay of anybody.
Look at this fool over there recalling this shit with his muscle-bound head. That's why the front of your head look like it's an island. I can see the perimeter around it. Dead ass serious. Y'all can't tell me y'all don't see that brown mark around it. It look like Saturn. You seen the ring around the muscle head? Ring around the muscle head ass.
Somebody arriving there, at least from law enforcement.
What happens when, in your experience as a detective, there's a bunch of cartridge cases laying in a busy street and cars driving through? What can happen to those cartridge cases?
Well, especially prior to the uniform officers getting there, cars are driving over them. They're either getting caught within the tread of the tires, or they're getting thrown down the street, or thrown into a rain gutter, or
anything.
I mean, they could go a lot of different places. We've investigated numerous shootings within streets where you've had fired cartridge cases scattered all over the place. And you never know for sure if you've got all of them, because if something gets caught within a tread of a tire and it doesn't get ejected, unless someone tells you about it later or it gets ejected somewhere else, who knows where it ends up.
In addition to that, when you have your shooter inside a vehicle, are there times that you found casings have gone into the vehicle that the shooter's shooting from?
Yeah, that would depend on if the shots were fired with the handgun inside the window of the car, or if the handgun was outside of the window. Obviously, if the handgun is outside of the window, there's a higher probability. If it's a semi-automatic pistol, there's a higher probability that all those fired cartridge cases ended up outside. If the handgun is on the inside of the vehicle, you have a higher probability of some fired cartridge cases ended up staying inside the car. If it's a revolver, then everything is going to stay within the handgun.
That's why my daddy told me to always use a revolver if I was going to do some work. So you ain't got to worry about nothing to do.
Eventually, I'm kind of jumping forward here, do you have those casings forensically tested?
The firearms examiner ends up testing them. I believe they were able to determine that they thought a Glock, it was going to be a .40 caliber. They were able to determine the caliber, and I believe, because I guess I'm not the expert, the firearms people are, but that a Glock has a particular marking that shows up, and I believe they determined that they thought it was a Glock that fired the weapon, that fired the cartridge cases.
So now you're looking for a white Cadillac occupied somewhere between 2 and 4 times, heading south on Koval, and a Glock 40 caliber firearm.
That was the information we had eventually at the time, yes.
After speaking to the witnesses, did you have any suspect information?
The only thing we had was 2 to 4 people, probably already all black males. The shooter, all we had was a black arm. There was a question of whether it was out the driver's door window or out the back window. There was a lot of questions, and this was strictly coming from the 4 gentlemen, Alexander, Greenidge, Cox, and Fula, from the car that was behind them. You got to realize, as I learned later, there was an entire convoy or entourage, whatever you want to call it, that had been behind them. And none of those people were around. Everybody had skedaddled before we got there, or at least by the time I got there. And so the only
So basically, he said he arrived roughly around 1 o'clock, putting them probably like what, about 45 minutes away from the shooting. What time was the actual shooting? You dig what I mean? Because like, I mean, why are we even talking to Santa if he don't know, if he ain't gonna give us no more information? You dig what I mean? With a black arm like this, you ain't saying nothing.
information we had was what General Assignment had acquired from, I believe, a couple of witnesses that they had talked to and some of the people at the scene. I think Detective Franks talked to some girls later on that had been at the scene.
Now, during the course of this, you've mentioned Frank Alexander. Do you know what Frank Alexander's responsibility was that night in the car behind Suge and Tupac?
Frank Alexander said he was Tupac Shakur's bodyguard.
Ain't no way the fuck you are, Frank. Because you should have been in the car, Frankie. You feel me? Because, like, what in the fuck? Where was you at, Frank?
And Yafula? I'm not even going to say his name right either.
Fula and Greenidge and Qatari Cox were supposed to be part of the Outlaws. I guess it's like the group, the I don't know if you call them the band, but the part of the group that performed with Tupac Shakur.
And those are the only four that stuck around by the time you got there and you were able to take statements from.
I believe they were the only four, plus I know there were a couple other guys that are mentioned in the report. I think Kevin Woods was one of them, and I think they must have got stopped by General Assignment or somebody when Suge Knight had made the U-turn to flee or drive away and ended up at Harmon and the Boulevard. Everybody else was gone.
I want to fast forward a little bit. Did you learn of an incident that occurred at the MGM casino shortly after the Tyson-Seldon fight?
Kadada wasn't there that night. Kadada wasn't there. Kadada was still at the hotel. See, Pac had just left Kadada because she didn't want him to go. That's what we was talking about earlier. You know what I mean? And then he didn't even want her to go to 626. So that's why I'm saying I was goddamn crazy. I didn't understand that.
We eventually learned that. No one claimed that night, but yes, there was a videotape that came about and information about a fight that was caught on videotape where a person was kicked, beaten down by Suge Knight and a bunch of other people in that group. Tupac Shakur was in the group, and Frank Alexander was off in the side.
When you learned about that, did Metro initially know the identity of the victim of that beating?
The only thing we had, I believe, was the first name of Orlando. One of the officers that was at the fight that night, I think they were working off duty because we also saw some.
Yeah, man, this don't seem right, bro.
Video where they had talked to the person. He was wearing a football jersey, and I don't believe there was a written down ID where the ID was obtained, but the first name of Orlando was on there. That was all we had at that time.
Did you make efforts to talk to Suge Knight?
Yeah, he wasn't supposed to be in Suge car. From my understanding, you know, things get all twisted up in the years, but from my understanding, he was supposed to be riding with somebody completely different, which included Frank. But at the last minute, from my understanding, Suge said that he wanted to holler at Tupac about some business. And that's the reason why him and Tupac supposedly had been in that car alone that night.
I know that night at the hospital, Detective Franks attempted to, he said. And then I know that...
Did you make efforts to talk to Suge Knight?
That's right, Lola? Okay.
I know that night at the hospital, Detective Franks attempted to, he said. And then I know that for 2 to 3 days after that, we attempted to, and finally were able to get him in and conduct an interview with him.
How did that come about? How does Suge Knight wind up at Metro?
Well, the first couple of attempts weren't very successful, put it this way. He didn't want to he didn't come in. In fact, I think the one time he was supposed to come in, he didn't show up. And then the night he did, I think it was 3 nights after, it would be in the report. When he did arrive, he showed up with David Kenner, David Chesnoff, and George Kalisis, who were all 3 attorneys who were his representatives, which we thought was weird because Suge Knight was a victim. And I think Reggie Wright Jr. might have been out in the lobby waiting. And then that's when we were finally able to conduct a taped interview of Suge Knight with his 3 attorneys present.
And what were your impressions from that interview?
Suge Knight was not the Suge Knight I expected. Everything, we had done a lot of research in the short time we had been involved, and Suge Knight was not a very timid person in the previous interviews we had seen of him. He was a very boisterous, in charge kind of guy. He was very timid, and to us, his interview was very practiced, and he was very timid, and I thought he lied to us. He just didn't know anything.
Your impression was he was withholding information about what happened.
He just basically said he didn't know anything. He couldn't recognize anybody.
A few days, or maybe a week even, does there come a point in time when you get contacted by law enforcement in Los Angeles area, whether it be LAPD, LASO, or Compton PD, that assists you in your investigation?
Tupac Shakur passed away on September 13th. We attended the autopsy, and we were later contacted. Well, I think there was probably some contact with other people within the homicide section. You got to realize there are people higher up than us, but eventually Tim Brennan from Compton PD, I think a Mike Coet, and Fontenot, something like that from Los Angeles County Sheriff's came down to exchange information, and that's when we showed them the videotape from the MGM.
And once you showed them the videotape from the MGM, were they able to identify for you, first of all, who Orlando was?
They immediately recognized Orlando Anderson. They told us that's Orlando Anderson.
And do they also identify some of the people that are with Suge that you didn't know might have been with Suge?
They recognized Suge Knight. I think they did by monikers, if I remember right. There might have been names. I think Buntry was in the picture, a guy named Buntry. There may have been some others. It would be on the report because we did document all this.
Does Trayvon Lane sound familiar to you?
Yes, Trayvon Lane does sound familiar.
What about Neckbone?
I ain't gonna hold you. Santa Claus memory is elite. No bullshit. You know what's trippy to me though, because there's been so many alleged theories about the police being involved and Suge being involved and Puffy being involved. I mean, what's the probability, for real, of Orlando standing in the middle of the MGM that night by himself? Secondly, it's not like Tupac just seen him. Somebody tapped Tupac and was like, that's the person who such and such and such and such who snatched my chain. So it was kind of like a lot of people stirred. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's so hard to explain, and it's so many different scenarios that could have pointed to like what really happened that night, to where it's so trippy, bro. It's so trippy.
Ended up identifying a bunch of people because we ended up getting a substantial amount of information from them.
Does there come a point in time when they let you know that basically there's something happening in Compton that might be really indicative of who may have...
Oh, let me find out that the person who's representing Keefe D is a felon. Is that a tattoo on his hand like that? Yeah, this nigga here was in a pen. Yeah, I knew something was right. I knew Spiral Curls was into something. Hey, Keefe met this nigga in jail. Swear to God, this nigga here is involved. No. I need to find. We need to see what's going on.
Killed Tupac.
Well, we learned that they had a series of shootings occurring in Compton, and we're getting a lot of information from informants that was interesting to us. The problem was it was all from informants. We didn't have any actual people that would come forward and testify. So it was information we could use, but we didn't have any witnesses that would be willing to talk to us. It was all here's.
Somebody in Big Shaw said, that's Charles Lee Ray. Nigga, let me tell you something, nigga. Cause and then with the gray suit on, it's like I can't unsee it. Cause this nigga had a gray suit on running through the store talking about Dembele. Hey man, somebody block this motherfucker right here, bro. I want a block.
Safe for us.
And before I get too far into the time you go to Compton the first time, were you able to identify that Suge Knight, Tupac Shakur, and their entourage was staying at the Luxor?
Well, yeah, we knew that after the beatdown at the MGM, they had all gone because the MGM security had videotaped or filmed the group going through the casino and exiting, and we got information that they went over to the Luxor where they had rooms, because we observed or saw some videotape down in the valet area after they had changed clothes and were meeting down there for some vehicles where they had left to go to Suge Knight's house there in Las Vegas.
Judge, I have in my hand a certified record from Luxor of the reservations on 124. I'd offer it.
No objection, Your Honor.
So admitted.
So you mentioned something that I guess I should get to. Suge and Tupac's group leave the MGM, go to the Luxor, and then did you have law enforcement
you a wild boy.
outside, not for this purpose, but did you have law enforcement working security near Suge Knight's house here in Las Vegas?
We did not. Homicide did not. Apparently, there was an off-duty assignment at Suge Knight's community. I guess it's a gated community is where his house was at. And they were working off-duty because of whatever the event was.
And so, did you learn that after the Luxor, they went over to Suge's house?
Yes, we learned that they went over there. There was, I think, a gate log or something, and we learned that several people had gone over there, gone inside, and we eventually acquired that gate log. And then sometime after they had arrived at the house there, they departed, and
That's when the incident occurs.
That's not long after that is when.
See, I didn't know that neither. See, I thought it was I thought I was under the impression that fucking night they left the MGM. You know what I'm saying? They ran to motherfucking they went to Pac's hotel. We know that they went to Pac's hotel where Pac had to change. He went from the silky green to the jersey. You feel me? I didn't know that they went to Suge House before they headed to 626. That will also explain why Keefe D and them got discouraged waiting on them. Okay.
When the incident occurred.
All right, let me get back to Compton. At some point, you get told that the Compton Police Department is going to execute search warrants on all of the Mob Piru and Southside Crip residences that they could identify as part of their investigation into the ongoing war now that's happening between Mob Piru and the Southside Crips.
It was kind of twofold. We were told that they were serving search warrants on all these locations for these different groups or gangs, but that there was also at least one murder warrant for Orlando Anderson that they had there in Compton. So it was our understanding that they were going to be arresting him on an outstanding murder warrant there in Compton.
Were you present in Compton when those warrants were executed?
Mike Franks and I did travel down and were present to witness the search warrants being served by Compton and I believe the I don't know if the Los Angeles County Sheriffs participated, the actual deputies. I know that their jail facility people were there.
And you talked about this before. That warrant, had you seen a copy of the affidavit for that warrant?
Yeah, I saw one way back in '96, and I think I've seen one here recently that you showed me that kind of refreshed my memory.
And within that, all of the witnesses are identified as CRIs. Do you know what they were calling CRIs?
What I was told is that it was called a confidential, reliable informant. I don't recall any person being named as a testifying witness to anything. It was all based on confidential, reliable informants that the search warrant was being based on, which I guess in some cases that's not unusual. I know narcotics cases do that quite often, but eventually if you're going to successfully prosecute a case, you need to have somebody willing to testify.
So on October 2nd of 1996, were you present on Burris Ave when Orlando Anderson's residence was, when the police hit it and searched that residence?
I can't tell you if it was Burris Avenue. I remember being somewhere where Orlando Anderson was arrested, yes.
And during that, did you find out information as to where Orlando Anderson was staying when he was in Las Vegas?
Well, yeah, we kind of had an idea before that, but then when he was arrested, we kind of confirmed it that he had been staying at the Excalibur Hotel. We knew he'd been in Vegas because we had him on videotape, but yes.
Judge, I have in my hand state's proposed exhibit number 125, which is a certified copy of, or it's a certified record
Randy McKinney,
of
be quiet.
the Excalibur I offer at this time.
You want to know your approach?
Yes.
Yeah, you've been running your mouth, boy.
That will be a minute.
Okay, now I'm going to try my best here to share my screen with you and see if we can. I want to show you just one little portion of this particular record. Just going to Guess I should have it up. All right. Are you seeing my screen at all?
I see you. I don't see the document. Oh, wait a minute. It just flipped.
You see that document now?
Okay, yeah, I do see a document. It's a affidavit of custodian of records.
Okay. I'm going to roll down here to page 2.
Okay, it's a receipt from Excalibur.
And then I'm going to zoom in here, maybe. Oh, that's the search button. Is this going to let me zoom in here? There we go.
I see some writing down there. Yeah.
That's
Okay,
right.
it zoomed.
Yeah, I'm just going to get to that writing now that I've zoomed in.
Okay.
So on page
All right.
2 here, there's
I
some
see.
handwriting on there.
That's the Stardust and Monte Carlo.
You recognize that handwriting?
That's my handwriting.
So how does that handwriting wind up on this record? What do you do?
Well, without seeing a report, I wrote it on there. There's no doubt that I wrote it on there. The question is why I wrote it on there. It's dated September 8th. Says they're local calls, and I put Stardust for one phone number, and then the Monte Carlo for the other phone number.
Does that suggest to you you're looking to see who Orlando Anderson, what other hotels he was calling?
I'm wanting to see what the phone calls are, and the Stardust call is at 9:41. It should be 9 if it's correct. 0941 is 9:41 a.m. and then Monte Carlo is at 0946, and then right after that is the Stardust again at 0947. Again.
Now, there's been some discussions, and I guess we'll get to that when we get a little bit farther, but why don't we address some of that now? Was there a problem at the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department of information related to your investigation being leaked publicly?
Well, I became aware that there may have been some information being leaked. I couldn't say who specifically was doing it, but I was becoming concerned to the point that in our office we had
It was so many moles and so many people who was corrupt. You got to understand, this is LA. This is when Rodney King, this is when so much shit was going wrong, and it was such a corruption. You think about it, we dealing with corruption now. But you figured 30 years, you know what I'm saying, ago, when they didn't want hip hop and us to be on the mainstream in the front, like this had to be crazy.
shelves not behind my desk, but there were some shelves where a lot of the case files were stored. And once this case continued, and the nature of who the victim was, especially when he passed away, there seemed to be a lot of interest in it, outside interest, especially with the media. And I became concerned about it, so I started locking my case files in my desk because I didn't want them to be available. Because I had left things on my desk, and a couple times I had found things different than when I left them, and it just bothered me. So that's why I locked them up.
Did there come a point in time when you started saving your reports to a different type of medium than just the computer?
Well, yes, there was some.
Damn, so Santa Claus was feeling the corruption back then. Hey man, y'all better protect Santa with all costs. He already withered away because he had that lettuce. You feel me? So we gotta protect them because I mean, for real, it seemed like Shawty he knew that it was a mole. I'm telling you, man, the police had to be involved, y'all.
Some reports that I ended up not sending off to records because I was putting them on what we had then was called a floppy disk. I guess today they've got a lot of different technology, but back then we had a thing called a floppy disk. Because we actually did some reports early on that I still don't know where they are. We did a pen register early on that I guess nobody can find. We went looking for a vehicle on another guy that nobody can find. There's just a lot of things that have disappeared. And some of them are reports that were before I even put them on floppy disk. So yes, I had some concerns.
So it's information that ain't never been recovered because he didn't even get a chance to transfer it before somebody had already took a file. Yeah, man. Come on, bro.
Were you aware that some Metro employees sold a Polaroid of Tupac on the autopsy table to the Daily Mail?
I was after we did the autopsy, I was outside the autopsy room. I cannot say that I saw a person take the Polaroid photo of Tupac Shakur's body. I saw somebody walk into the autopsy room.
That shit was on rotten.com. Did y'all see that? You know what I'm saying? Did y'all ever go on rotten.com? Because Tupac's autopsy was in there. OJ's wife was in there. You dig? I think John F. Kennedy autopsy was in there. That baby was in it. Like it was a whole bunch of people that was up in there. And I was like, what the fuck?
Room where his body was at with a Polaroid. And then I don't remember how long after that a book was published by a Kathy Scott that had, it was a Polaroid photo of his body. It wasn't one of our photos of his body from the autopsy. It was quite obvious this was.
So that mean that the medical examiner did it. The ME did it.
It was a Polaroid photo afterwards because it was not a full photograph that we took. We didn't take those kind of photographs at an autopsy. We had no reason to.
But needless to say, you yourself had concerns about the security of the information as it relates to the investigation.
Yes.
Now going back to exhibit number 125.
For real, you can still see that shit? That shit crazy as hell.
25, it says on September 8th at 9:46 a.m. it appears the Monte Carlo was called, correct?
Correct.
And Judge, I have marked State's proposed exhibit number 126, which is a certified copy of a record from the Monte Carlo.
I was over here fucking bugging out for a second, but it just dawned on me. I forgot that they used to have the calls, the phones inside of the cars. Cause I was about to say, what nigga called the car? But I forgot that that's how that shit used to be before the cell phone. You can call the car.
I offer.
Any objection?
If I can have a moment, please.
Yeah. Okay, they'll be admitted.
All right, Detective, I'm going to try and do this. Change the screen for you and now put 126 up on the screen. Ooh. Apparently screen sharing has stopped. Put it up first and then...
Nigga, is these pictures of him in the ambulance? Is this for real? Because they showing, I mean, because I know that after now that the trial is out, there's going to probably be certain photographs and shit that we going to be privy to that we're never seen. But nigga, what the fuck is this? I never seen this man in the ambulance. Is this for real? Oh, no. I'm going to have to do a motherfucking deep dive. Because what the fuck is this? I ain't never seen this shit. Ever. Okay, let's go.
Now I gotta go back to you and hit share. Can you see that now?
Now I do. There's a little delay, but it's a affidavit of custodian of records again.
Now this is the Monte Carlo, and I'm gonna jump down to the first page. There's a name, Corey Edwards.
Corey Edwards.
1301 East Sloan.
Okay.
And it looks like he arrived and departed the Friday night before, the Friday the 6th into Saturday the 7th of September of 96. You see that on the right side?
I see that.
And I'm going to roll down here, a few pages in. Do you see? I can zoom in a little bit here for you.
No, I can see the writing. The Excalibur. Well, go back.
Yeah, I gotta go back.
It zoomed too much.
There you go.
Okay, it's Excalibur, Sahara, and Luxor. Though that's my handwriting.
And so, does that suggest to you that you took this record and checked to see
where those phone numbers,
the local phone numbers are being called on it?
So that's at
10:01.
Yes. So the Excalibur was September 7th at 10:01 a.m. Sahara
10:32.
September 7th at 10:26, and Luxor was at September 7th at 10:32 a.m.
So hold on, time the fuck out. So who records is this? Because I know that Luxor, that's Suge, ain't it? That would be his address. Is this Keefe's? What the fuck is this real quick? What is this paper again? The MF Delaney, what is this? What is this? Cause who was calling who?
Now, initially, did you have any idea who Corey Edwards was?
Okay, now we finna get to the meat of the potato. All right, they about to tell us.
I did not have Corey Edwards' name until Compton gave us that name.
So now you're in Compton. You've executed search warrants. You learn about the Excalibur. You learn about the Monte Carlo and Corey Edwards. I want to kind of fast forward now. Well, you mentioned something about a pen register. Does there come a point in time when you guys learn about an individual named David Keith that might have worked at the MGM?
Yes, we learned about him. Well, it would have been related to the pen register because it goes back to, I want to say, Yafu Fula's description when I took his statement. He gave a description that I recall. He described the driver of the Cadillac having a bitch face. That's the term he used. And I may have misunderstood the terminology at the time. I might have thought bitch face meaning the younger looking face at the time, because there were some names coming up, and we had developed the name of Davion Brooks, who apparently was a Southside Compton Crip. And he had he was a fair-skinned black male, and I don't know, we thought
No, that nigga was saying that he looked like a girl.
I kind of with a bitch face. And he was the person that the pen register was related to in a place, it was south, I can't tell you the address right off the bat. It was south of Tropicana between the Boulevard and Koval. Because all we had, I think, was a cell phone or something, and we did the pen register, but David Keith's name came up somehow in that as a worker in Las Vegas. And for some reason, I'm going off the top of my head without the reports. He had I thought a full-size Blazer, because I used to own a full-size Blazer, and there was an address in Las Vegas and I know we went out and checked that address, but it turned out nothing was there. We couldn't determine anything, but that's how that all came about, David Keith. And I know that we ended up, because we couldn't find Davion Brooks, at the time, I don't know what they got now, we had a thing called Scope, which the people would get their sheriff's cards or criminal history would go in there, and we could flag a person. So if they were stopped by officers or arrested, that we could be notified. And so we had flagged Davion Brooks, and I believe eventually we must have been down because I was out of town, but Mike Franks and Kevin Manning went and interviewed him.
So at this point, we have the names of Orlando Anderson, you have the name of Corey Edwards, you have the name of Davion Brooks, you have the name of Davion Keith. Kind of fast forward, but in November of 96, well, let me ask you this. Of all the people you interviewed in that car behind, was there anybody who said he thought he could make an identification?
Yafu Fula, from what I remember, thought he could ID someone possibly. I thought it was the driver, but I'd have to look at the report. He's the only person that thought they could possibly identify someone. I don't recall anybody saying they could ID the shooter. Frank Alexander, Malcolm Greenidge, and Katari Cox were more or less more of the dark arm kind of thing.
When in November of 96 in New Jersey, does something happen to Yafula?
Unfortunately, Yafu Fula was murdered. We were notified, I want to say it was Orange, New Jersey, somewhere in that area. We learned that Yafu Fula had been murdered. This was after we had made several attempts, because Death Row Records, David Kenner, who was the attorney, they had told us that if we needed to talk to any...
They might need to motherfucking put this man into witness protective custody, because the way that nigga, he have such a vivid recount of like what's going on and names and shit like that. I guarantee you, this nigga Keith probably did not think that somebody was gonna remember these type of aspects, because this shit's spot on, bro. It seemed like he remembered too much.
Anybody from the Outlaws or anybody that we needed to contact them to make arrangements.
That's why he over there looking like he smelled something stank, because he like, what the fuck?
And somewhere in the reports that there's several attempts were made to try to get a hold of Yafu Fula, and we got the runaround on that.
I want to fast forward to March 9th of 1997. Did you become aware that another famous rapper by the name of Christopher Wallace, also known as Biggie Smalls, also known as Notorious B.I.G., was killed outside the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles?
Yes.
And LAPD was responsible for that investigation.
Correct.
At some point, do you have contact with Fred Miller, one of the lead detectives from LAPD?
Yes.
And then shortly thereafter, March 17th or so, did you attempt to contact, well, let me ask you this, did you contact Frank Alexander to do photo lineups?
Yes, Mike Franks and I went down and we met Frank Alexander. If that's what the report said, it was around March 17th down in Orange County somewhere, California. And I had taken probably, I think it was 10 photo lineups that we had prepared, because I had since the shooting and all, Frank had kind of turned around. I think he had gone cross with Death Row Records, and things turned around, and he was willing to meet with us, and that's when I showed him the photo lineups.
Judge, and I've talked to Mr. Stamp about not having to lay the foundation with each one of these with Mr. Stamp, but I have in my hand those 10 photo lineups, which are marked 76 through 85.
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection to admission?
Yes.
All right, they'll be admitted then.
And I'm going to start with number 10, which is 85. Oops. I have to go in and out here a few times. But each of these photo lineups that you have done here, did you have a reason why you had these particular people in photo lineups?
Main players that were in these photo lineups were, well, obviously Orlando Anderson was in there because of the beatdown at the MGM. I mean, and because of the information we'd acquired.
I know that shit is pissing Keefe D off that Santa Claus keeps saying the beat down, because you could know, as you know what I'm saying, Keefe's still mad after like fucking 26 years about the beat down that his nephew goddamn took. And now his nephew is no longer here. So by this man keeps saying it, I know he wanted to jump across the motherfucking table on his ass so bad, but he can't even jump across the table because this nigga in a whole different state, right? He doing remote. He can't even do that.
Heard from Compton. Then the other people, I think Darnell Brim might have been in one of those because his name had come up. Dwayne Davis's name was in there. Terrence Brown.
Damn, this nigga memory
Smith.
is crazy.
There's another Davis. I think it's Dwayne Davis's brother, or he's related to him somehow. Is it Kevin Davis, I think?
Let me just share my screen and we'll go through each one by one, okay?
Yeah. I just remember there were 10 of them, and there was each person that was in the lineup. There was a reason for them being in there, just to cover our bases. We had particular people we were looking at, but we wanted to cover the basis of everybody that had come up.
So on these lineups, this is page 1, page 2, and then on the bottom, page 3 has the names of the people that are in each of those positions. Is that fair?
Those are the lineup records, yes.
And so it shows on March 17th of 1997, you would have created the photo lineup record that's your name down there?
Yes.
And this one, the suspect is number 6, Dwayne Davis.
Yeah, and I guess I probably spelled his name wrong.
And if we go to picture number 6,
that's Dwayne Davis. He's younger. I mean, obviously, it's been a long
30
time.
years ago, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Now, at this point in time, when you're showing these photo lineups, did you have a theory as to who was in this vehicle?
We had an idea from information. We didn't have anybody stepping forward to say anything in particular.
Okay. And who was it? Who did you think was in the car?
Well, the four names that we were leaning on was Dwayne Davis, Terrence Brown, DeAndre Smith, and Orlando Anderson. Those were the names that we've been leaning on. But again, those are just the names we had.
Right. You had no live witness to tell you.
No.
You all had confidential, reliable, the CRI that
we didn't have. We personally didn't even have that. I mean, I guess everybody else did, but we didn't have a name that would step forward to say anything. And I believe the CRIs were even throwing out Darnell Brim and other people.
I'm gonna kind of go through each one of these, but there's one I want to show you, and you've looked at these 10 photo lineups recently, right?
Correct.
And then there's another 6 photo lineups that you have where there's just a handwritten log that goes with them, right?
Yeah, and after looking at those, I'm wondering if those are photo lineups that I did later, because the 4 girls that I think Mike interviewed that night at the shooting scene, I had attempted to get in touch with them, and I think I talked to a couple of them, and 1 or 2 of them lived in the LA area, and I think it was LAPD, we had sent some lineups to them to look at. Those might have been the lineups we sent to them, actually, because it was, 97 or 98? And I think technology might have got a little better by then.
So let me click out here. Judge, I have in my hand the log of the 86, and then State Proposed Exhibits 87 through 91, which are the other 6 lineups.
Grandpa been eating garlic. Oh, no, that's for your heart. We got his mind like that? That nigga been playing them games. You know what I'm saying? Because this man fucking memory is elite. You feel me? I know Keefy over there feeling crunchier than a Dorito, bro. Because this nigga shit is elite.
5 lineups, excuse me.
No objection. I'm sorry, no objection.
They'll be there.
So let me start with the log for you, and then we're going to go back to the other ones for just a minute, but let me pull up the log first. Oops. I'm sure there's more technologically advanced if you were younger. If I were younger, we could figure out how to do this easier, but...
You're doing better than me, so...
These are the logs. This is the logs you wrote for each one of those lineups, right? So you had Orlando Anderson in one, Darnell Brim in another, Roger...
Sure, these are probably notes that I wrote down because we were just trying to put something together to send off. Because I'm seeing... Well, Roger Williams would have been, wasn't a Southside Crip, from what I remember. He was a mob guy or something. He was the opposite of everybody else.
Roger Williams, do you recall his nickname being Neckbone?
Yes, because I think we got to talk to him briefly down in Compton.
That sounds good.
The name Jerry Bonds was the name that...
Jerry Bonds was a name that came up very, very early on, and I think Compton had it, and as time went on, Jerry Bonds' name kind of was fading out.
Hell yeah, Jay Michelle, that nigga be like, man, my grandpa, man, that nigga investigated Tupac down.
I think he's a Southside Compton Crip, but as things went on, his name just started disappearing, even from the informants.
Oh.
And then the last one on there is Big Dre or DeAndre Smith.
DeAndre Smith, who is the guy that we think was in the back seat with Orlando Anderson.
Now I'm going to go to the DeAndre Smith photo lineup, and that's 91. And he'd be in position number 3, correct? Oh wait, you
guess
can't
so.
see it. I didn't share it with you yet.
Nothing's popped up yet, so.
Let me share it with you. But if your log has him in position number 3, that'd be him in number 3, correct?
Looking at it, yeah, that face kind of looks familiar. And that number 15 would be my writing. So this is one of the later photos.
You know, I feel like all these motherfuckers on this lineup shouldn't even been around Tupac. You know what I mean? Don't even smell Tupac. Look at this nigga. Number 2 look like half his jaw got ate off. You know what I'm saying? Number 3 look like he ate many Whoppers in his day. You dig? He just looked like he like he's almost a little zesty. And you around here murdering? It makes me disgusted. It make me so disgusted. And then this motherfucking nigga number 5, he look like Chris Humphries. And number 6, nigga look like Frankie Lyman. I'm disgusted.
Yes. And this this is definitely one of the later photos. This is one we had early on.
So now I want to go to photo lineup that you wrote as number 1, which is States Exhibit number 76. Can't believe I have to stop the share every time, but I'm going to zoom in here on number 2 and then share it with you here.
Number 1 eat boogers. That nigga ate boogers his whole life. He still eat them.
Maybe. The person there in number 2, that appears to be DeAndre Smith, correct?
Yes. That's probably an early photo because what I'm looking at, I think.
That nigga look like the goddamn hamburger. He look like the Grimace. What's the purple shit? Is it the Grimace? He look like that motherfucker from McDonald's.
I think is probably, I don't know if those were California DMV photos or what, because from what I recall, we had to cut the pictures out because the backgrounds were all different colors, and we were trying not to make different colors on the photo lineup, so we didn't come into conflict down the road with anybody. I think Mr. Sanford would agree. If you have a yellow, red, blue, that causes issues. So that's why we did this. And this is all we had that was available at the time.
So I want to roll down.
Now we got technology to where all we got to do is take a picture and put erase background. And we get the image that he was trying so hard to make. Nigga cut this nigga half a shoulder off. You feel me? Look at this shit. But it's so crazy, bro.
Down here. The weird thing about this record is
number 6 didn't have a name.
Number 6 didn't have a name, but also number 2, even though it's a picture of DeAndre Smith, the record you have written is Andre Norton. Is that possibly an AKA for Mr. Smith?
Probably. We're talking what, 97? Yeah. Andre Norton. I'd have to look at his rap sheet. I don't know. But because there's no ID number over there, that's probably what it is. Because usually if there's an ID number, that's a Metro thing. And DeAndre Smith, whatever, wouldn't have had anything, because I don't think he had a history with Las Vegas.
Oops. Now, as I go through each of these photo lineups that you have,
Hold on one second, y'all. Give me 2 seconds real quick. I just need 2 seconds. Ooh. It's crazy as hell, the things that you know now. Because what the fuck? Hold on, y'all. What the hell is it? I just had to fix something real quick. I don't know.
Yeah, if you want, Roman, you can spin the camera and let them see.
Hold on, y'all. I just gotta fix something real quick before I fuck up the stream. I don't wanna fuck it up. Alright. Okay, we can go back now. I didn't want it to boot you guys
scheduled
off.
to perform at a concert.
It would have been horrible. Come on, come on, come on.